Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our monthly council meeting for May 16, 2022. I'd like to welcome my fellow councillors. We have Councillor McFeely is unable to be with us tonight. He had an appointment, family situation he had to attend. And anyway, we have our Director of Finance, Kristen Dunsford, is with us. We have our CAO, Rob Philpott. And we have, I understand Colin McLean is online viewing with the Journal Pioneer and other members of the media. And we have Brian Herlick here on my left with the controls, running the microphones as well as YouTube. And it's great to have the Junior Mayor and Council here again tonight. And we have the Chamber Executive Director, Tara Maddox, with us. There'll be a presentation a little later. So welcome, everybody. And is there a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Deputy Mayor McColeman, second by Councillor Ramsey. All in favour? Contrary nay? Carried. Any conflict of interest declarations? I do not see any. Speaker lights on. So, the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the monthly council meeting minutes of April 18, 2022 and the approval of the special council meeting minutes of April 13, 2022? Moved by Councillor Drawn and seconded by Councillor McDougall. Any questions? All in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary nay? Carried. Okay, we have a couple of presentations tonight. Our Junior Mayor will be the first one to come forward and take this chair and make the presentation. We certainly look forward to it, and I will turn the chair over to the Junior Mayor. And the Junior Mayor, I get my names, I'll make sure I get them corrected. Olivia Johnston. Okay.
Thank you. Greetings, Your Honor, Deputy Mayor and Council. My name is Olivia Johnston, and I want to start off by thanking everyone here tonight for this incredible opportunity. Over the past 2 months, I discovered things I never thought of before, and along with that, I developed key ideas on how to improve and highlight the features that make Summerside a place that people want to stay and live. First and foremost, last time we were here, Councillor Justin Doran made a comment about needing more youth in politics and also just being more involved in our city as youth. That comment really stuck with me, and I thought about it continuously throughout our tour. How can we push our youth to better understand and aid in the inner workings of our city? The biggest thing I believe is more exposure. More exposure to what Summerside really is as a community. We could set up programs where we focus on giving our youth things to do around the city, such as internships, gardening programs, and historical tours geared towards youth. Advertisement for these programs can even be done by the youth posted on Summerside's social media website. Next, Summerside has expanded and grown so much in these past few years, and I think it's crucial we acknowledge the growth and the people that have come to assist with that growth. Respecting and acknowledging the culture of others is really what makes a community thrive. What makes Summerside thrive? That is why I propose starting a cultural home, storing all different types of culture. This could include pictures, stories, and artifacts from all different areas, and we could even hire the youth to work there. My next recommendation is while visiting the fire station, the deputy chief informed us that their firefighting gear only lasts 10 years. He mentioned that if they got 3 to 6 batches of equipment a year, they'd be set. To add to that, since our population is growing, the police department needs more bodies. We were told that an increase in budget would really insist in making that a reality. My next idea is to start a program called Green Teams. With the weather getting nicer, I think our city should return to something it has thrived on for so many years, and that is communal gardens and green spaces. I propose we have teams of people, each assigned to a certain location, working together to keep the green spaces in Summerside in the best possible condition they can be in. And as you know, there has constantly been a need and a push by our youth to have more teen-oriented places. When asking our youth, what can Summerside improve on, this is our #1 response. And I recommend, instead of creating another building, look at expanding what is already pre-existing. Focus on giving the CUP more teen-oriented activities. Look at hosting teen activities at Green Shores and even funding places that teens already go. Lastly, a widely shared idea between my fellow councillors and I is we need more development downtown on Water Street. The waterfront is an exceptional area for tourists to hang out and visit restaurants, but we need more. I believe the city could really improve that area by adding restaurants and overall making the place look a little more attractive. We could even give a grant to any restaurants and businesses that have an interest in building there. To conclude, I proposed countless amount of times on my tour to all different types of employees around the city, what do you feel you need? And almost all respond to me that right now, they are extremely content and have all they could ever ask for. And I want to applaud our city for being innovative enough to satisfy so many different fields. And to end this report, I would like to thank Mr. Sears for making this program possible and for all the support along the way, and to Ashley Skierman for assisting us on the tour, and my counselors who inspired me. And a final thank you to the council, the deputy mayor, and your honor. I applaud and appreciate all the work each and every one of you has put in to make this town run so smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of council got any questions for the junior mayor before she leaves the chair?
Well, I certainly want to thank you because I missed the first evening when you were all sworn into office. And I think with each and every one of you, based on your message that you have said, Madam Mayor, that we're in good shape to see the next generation of leaders coming up. And I was so pleased to hear you talk about the downtown, because we just had a meeting about that today and how important it was, like, for beautification and all of those areas. So thank you for bringing out all very important points to us.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I see some other lights on there. Around the table.
Okay, great report, Your Worship. And to you and your council, thank you for coming in and just getting to know us and getting to know the city. And sounds like you did some great investigating, and I'm really interested in youth. So I like the part where you said maybe at Credit Union Place we could have some more youth programs, or down on Green Shores, or, you know, and we would be open to sit with you and a group of your young folks, you know, to talk to us about how we, Councillor Corrie is our community chair. So, you know, we would, I think, welcome that opportunity to sit with you and go over what you think might work. And, you know, and if we had some youth that might be interested in volunteering for these programs as well and getting them up and whatever, we can sit and talk if you're interested in doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
All right.
sounds
Thank
great.
you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And I see Councillor McDougall.
Yes. Thank you, Your Worship, and Junior Mayor. Great presentation, and a lot of good recommendations there. I want to say thank you, and I apologize for not being here during the Junior Mayor and Council. I was out of province, and it's the first time I had missed one. So I just wanted to pass on congratulations to you all. I really want a special thanks to the staff and the faculty at SIS to keep this project going. It's very important. And I too would like to see a follow-up meeting with the Junior Council. I think we should be closer tied together. So again, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
I believe Councillor Adams, then Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Olivia. I'm just wondering, when you had mentioned teen activities at the Cup and Green Shore, was there examples of things that...
Nothing that really came to mind originally.
Yep.
But like we mentioned before, we could always discuss and come together and
Yeah.
think about other projects and plans to,
Yeah, I know it's, you know, when you think back to when they had teen dances and so on, it's something, now that COVID is, knock on wood, on its way behind us, hopefully for a while, people seem to be wanting to get out and about more, so you might be right on with the timing to try and get those things going while people are eager to get out and about.
for
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I believe Councillor Graham, and I think Councillor Snow.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. Welcome back, I guess, everyone, first of all, to City Hall. Junior Mayor Johnson, it took me almost 4 years, but I'm glad I finally made a comment that stuck with somebody. First of all, just congratulations again to all of you for winning your elections, and you've shown that you have what it takes. And like I mentioned a few weeks ago, I think you'll all be eligible to actually run in 2026. So there's that to look forward to if any of you are interested. Just ask that you please stay out of St. Eleanor's. One of my favorite parts of this program is hearing about how the last few weeks went for you and what you come up with to make our great city even greater. And I also mentioned last time you were here that we were actually able to implement some of the suggestions that came in from the last junior mayor and council. So you coming back here with your report, it's not just an activity that you're asked to do for the fun of it. It's actually very useful, and we take it very seriously. So just thanks again, junior mayor and junior council, for your interest, and hopefully we'll see some signs around Ward 1 and Ward 3 through 8 in 2026.
Awesome,
And,
thank you.
Thanks again for coming.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. And Councillor Snow, a former junior councillor.
Yes,
Years ago.
many years ago. As the worship said, I was a former junior mayor and council back in 1996. It was a program that has always stuck with me, and I'm very happy to see this year after year. To Councillor Ron's point, your guys' feedback is something I personally, and I know all council, take very seriously. And Councillor Ramsey's offer to, follow up and actually discuss how we can implement some of these ideas, I think is a great idea. I actually I had a chat with a former councillor, and in previous years there was a youth council within the community, and I started the process of looking into how that ran previously, but then we got into COVID and things just didn't work out. But I really think there's a value in engaging very bright young individuals like yourselves who obviously want to be involved in the community and show and tell us how to make it better, because that's what we want. We want to make the community better for each of you. So just thank you for all your effort, and I look forward. I can reach out to Mr. Sears for sure, and we'll set up a follow-up meeting possibly if you guys are interested.
Awesome, sounds good,
All
thank you.
right, thanks.
Councillor Snow, and I see Councillor Campbell. You have your right on. You pull the mic over closer. Yeah, that's good. No?
Is Gracie here?
Yes?
Hi. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and you were on the most interesting one. I just got to show you
You were on the most interesting.
the most important one. And every month we have to present a kind of like a worksheet. And this one here, I had to cut it down. It's still 4 pages, so we have a very busy electrical department too. And thanks for showing here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess we've gone around the chambers, and I've mentioned earlier, Councillor McFeely had an appointment at a province, and he was unable to be with us, and he sent to say congratulations and thank you. So,
Awesome.
and I want to thank the junior mayor and council as well, and the junior deputy mayor. This is a great experience for us as well as the junior mayor and council. So it's a learning experience, and we always appreciate the presentation when they come back with it. So we thank you very much, and like I said, I think the night of the swearing-in ceremonies, things are brought to our attention that we'll all say, why didn't we think of that? So we thank you for your great work, and we enjoyed spending the day with you and your junior deputy mayor and junior council, and thanks to SIS and your teachers. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
So the meeting is still going on. You're welcome to stay for a while. I know everybody's got a whole lot of things to do, but you're welcome, and there's another presentation to be made. But just feel free to stay or leave whenever you want, but you're more than welcome. So our Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Tara Maddox, is going to make a presentation. Are you going to make it at the microphone or that one? Okay, we'll make sure it's turned on. Thank you again. So the floor is yours, Tara. I'm sure your microphone is working. The light is on anyway.
Good evening.
Thank you.
All right. I feel so short. I think this chair is down quite a bit.
Well, the closer you can sit to the mic, we've been having a few problems this last few meetings about people watching that had a difficult time to pick it up, but I guess if we stay fairly close to the microphone, it may be a little more clear.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Mayor Basil Stewart, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Norma McColeman, Councillors Duran, Adams, McDougall, Ramsey, Campbell, and Snow, and of course CAO Rob Philpott, city staff, and guests that are here this evening, and everyone that's here watching virtually. It's been a very long time since we did our municipal scorecard, and I don't think that this present council was actually part of the last one, if I remember correctly. I think it was the year before. So what we did was we wanted to get back into it, and really it was just about relaying communication. So what we did was we polled the membership. We took that data and I tried to present it in a way that hopefully will be helpful. And before I start and go to the next slide, I just want to say the first 3 slides are themed kind of questions that were bulked together, and it was on a rating scale of 1 to 5. So the number that you're going to see is within that range. And I color-coded them just anything below 3 in red, anything above 3 in black. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad if it's below 3. So I don't want you to look at the number and go like, but it's just to kind of differentiate visually the numbers. So the first portion was the stewardship. I'll kind of let you review that a little bit. I think when it comes down to it, and based on the communication, the written open question answers is communication. And it's the hardest thing and it's the toughest thing, and Rob and I talk about it, I think, in every meeting that we have, is communication. It's tough for the chamber to communicate everything that we do. I'm sure it's tough for the city. It's tough for businesses to be communicating and reaching their target market. So we've really tried to help be a tool for that. So just because some of these numbers maybe are below that 3 mark doesn't mean that you're not doing these things. It just means maybe it's not reaching everyone that's doing the survey. I think we did make a step in the right direction with the State of the City breakfast, and although COVID was still really present last year, I'm still really glad that chatting with Rob that we still went ahead with it and held that event. I have to say a big thank you to Mike, Greg, and Chantel, who stood in for JP, because it really was really informative on what the staff is doing, what they're working on. And when you really look back at that year comparison, when they're showing the numbers and the stats from before to where they're sitting at today, it really is, it's exciting and it's really interesting. So I did try to relay that information to the people that weren't there as well, but I'm hoping that for the fall of 2022, with COVID being a little less present, that we'll have a bigger attendance.
Tara, can I just, so do you think that some of the problem is because we couldn't all be together and communications were down because of that? Because were you not meeting with Rob like about once a month with our CAO?
Yes, no, I meet with Rob once a month.
Right, and then
Yeah.
you would communicate with your members what you.
Yeah, well, we would
Is that fair
just,
to say? So I'm
yes
just
and
kind of
no.
wondering why. Yeah.
Some of it is directly relayed back to the board because it's at a board level, a management level. When Rob and I communicate about joint projects, events,
That stuff is all communicated out to the membership. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, I see some of the barriers in code, for sure.
Not being out and physically present was tough too for both of us. Yes.
Pretty transparent and communicating. Surprises me, I guess. That's all.
Is that on? The next few revolve around city council. I do have to say that this number went up from the last time. And actually there was some very positive comments that were left, that city councilors were approachable. And one thing I would have to thank you for is being present at chamber functions and events. I can't think of one major event that city council or staff were not present at. Although yes, COVID did make a big difference in that, unfortunately. But even still, there was always representation. So, yeah.
Take the first one, 3.73 out of what?
A 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is the average number of the results that came in. Oh, I just made the red under 3, anything that's under 3.0, just so that you could visually see where the numbers were sitting at. I just wanted to point out the 4.1 for the city should increase their effort to buy local when possible. And this is something that Rob and I chat about it as well, is
So you're talking the city of Summerside or the citizens of the city of Summerside?
the city. So the membership really would like to see education workshop around the procurement process that the city goes through.
I just so I'm clear on that, but we really try to buy everything local. I'm not sure how you calculate this. Just
No, this is just saying they support that the city
Okay.
buys local.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way
So it was
worded there.
rated pretty high, saying,
The way
yes,
it
we
says
agree.
there, the city should increase, and I,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
because we push all of the time in here to buy local and everything we can, and, you know, and quotes and tenders and as much as we can, even vehicles, for example.
Yes.
Somebody suggested one time you could get vehicles cheaper in New Brunswick. Well, we ain't gonna do that because we've got 7 car dealerships here in Summerside. You get the best price and support locally because that, they have their tax base and their job. So wasn't quite clear on that one. The city should increase their effort.
And that isn't to say that you're not doing it. I think it's just to reinforce to keep doing
But
it.
even a 4.1 out of 5 is a pretty good
Mhm.
rating.
And just about the procurement process, we held a workshop with the federal government and the provincial government. So they walked us through their procurement process. They educated people on how they can become a vendor for the federal government and provincial government, where they can find, you know, how they can submit proposals and where they can find what's needed, what kind of things that the province and the feds are looking for, what kind of things do they buy. So the membership would love to see something like that from the city as well. You know, how can they get involved? What kind of things are you buying? Where can they find what you're looking for? And how can they make that connection? So I think that's a really positive thing, and something that will kind of hit home to that. But
So these numbers, again, just so I'm clear on it, these numbers are on the average of the people who got back with their thoughts. Where did you come up with, how did you come up with these numbers? Maybe you mentioned I didn't get it.
yes, they ranked each one from 1 to 5.
Who's
So
that?
this is the membership when we pulled
So,
them.
and this is the average, is it?
Yeah, this is the average number. And just when it comes back to even the last point, I understand the municipal incentives available to my business. I think there's a way we can do, again, another educational workshop, something we can tape, like a webinar that we can have on the website, that we can, in our new member package, put this is what's available. So if there's anything that we can do communication-wise, that we can record and have it, that a link, that when people sign up and we send that out, that we can add into it, I think that would really help everybody, because you're hitting them as soon as they sign up, and the information's right there. They can go back and watch it anytime they want. The one thing that we did see with COVID is we really increased the webinars, obviously, because we couldn't get together in person. And when shared afterwards with the membership, there was quite a high uptake in viewing that after the fact. So going forward, I think the plan is to try and, when it's possible, is to do that hybrid version so that you can have the virtual side of it. So I just think it's another tool that we can use to help communicate these things, is create some short videos or some little workshop videos and have them right there and include them in our membership kits.
I'm going to talk again, okay, Carrie?
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful idea, but I think I would encourage the business or the chamber, you know, to tap into the council meetings when we're having our council meetings and our committee meetings. And, you know, that's the only way that I think our communication is, or one way, another way that communication could be, because I don't know how else we can communicate any better than, like, I really am kind of a little taken back with these numbers, because I think we're pretty good at communicating, but, and you hear what I'm saying?
I do. And
yeah, I'm just kind of wondering how, you know.
I feel the same way you feel, because I feel like I do a good job communicating. And when we send a membership survey out, it comes back, they want more communicating. So I understand. You try really hard to get everything out there and to use the tools and avenues that are there. And I would like you to take these numbers with a grain of salt, because people, they're really busy, and not that that's an excuse, but it's also easy to do a survey and say that you don't know something when it could have been available to you.
So
So
you got 375 members. How many, do you know how many members responded?
we had almost 60 of different, very large
That's low. Is
diversity.
It 60 out of 375, or is that?
It's pretty normal for us, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm just trying to think of ways, different ways, I guess, that we can use to kind of get things out there.
I'll just throw this in as well, and we all know this. Sorry to jump in, but we think of things as we go along. But we lost our Journal Pioneer as a result of COVID, and finally we'll get it one day a week, which we're still working to try to get it more often. And I know the Guardian is 7 days a week, or 5 or 6, I guess 6 days a week. But I think we're going to continue to work to try to get the Journal Pioneer back, so you know you get messages more so than once a week.
Like when Chamber has something like a mixer or the event the other evening, like council really puts effort into trying to get there, and you know, so we're really putting the effort into trying to communicate and try to be there for you know, the Chamber. And so, but that's a two-way street, isn't it? You know, I think that's a two-way street.
And this tonight is on
Yeah.
YouTube, and that's one thing that this council we tried to do, is get on the air, and you can watch it from wherever. And to get people, I understand the numbers are going up probably every meeting, to get people to watch it, and so they can hear what the city is doing and what council members are talking about and what they want to do and these kinds of things. So we used to have Cablevision, or whatever it was called, but at the last foot they'd tape it and then it'd be on at a different time. But this is always the time. This is live, and whatever time the meeting is, it's live. And if you missed it tonight, you can turn your TV on tomorrow and pick it up. So it's a plus. but at least to have it on YouTube.
And I guess from the last review that was done, or report card, I think you had mentioned, Tara, 2015. And I think out of that, there was a comment made about transparency. And I know from there moving forward, when we went from doing the meetings on Eastlink to YouTube or on live stream, and anything that we've done, like anything that we can make public in our meetings, we do. There's a very small portion that we can't because of legal or financial, those, or HR, those kinds of things. But I think, and I know you're just delivering the message, and we respect that, but I think it's, with the numbers, if there was only, say, approximately 60 people that replied out of 375, it may not be giving a true picture, because I know this council really, and maybe it sounds like we're being a bit defensive, and we're not. It's just that I know how hard we all try, and so I guess I beg to disagree somewhat with those numbers, because I know how hard council is and how present council is.
And
Sure.
Norma, I agree too. I also see a lot of activity on social media that's shared after committee meetings with upcoming council meetings. We try to share stuff. I try to share stuff in our newsletter. And please, I do invite you to please filter stuff through us in the newsletter. That's what it's there for, is to get stuff out. So if you have a new initiative that you're launching, or you're looking for feedback for a particular committee, then please send that to us so that we can share that out to the membership. And yes, it's tough. I personally think the numbers were a bit different than I was expecting, because I personally see you out at things and you're involved. And again, I think that it falls back to the communication piece, and not even, I'll say just the communication piece, but I'm not sure that everybody understands that when a big project is launched, it wasn't launched within a month. It may have taken 3 years to do. So you may not have talked about that project for 3 years. And this is where I really have to give a shout out to Mike and Neil for what I call the behind the scenes things that they do. I appreciate that the big projects and the announcements take a lot of work, because I know that I go through them sometimes myself. So I think part of that is coming back to this. And in the next question, the next slide, there was just there was a lot of questions about a couple projects, and I wonder if that's reflecting some of the numbers here.
The city should consider bylaws to address deteriorating vacant commercial real estate in the city. Like the whole core block was just taken down, and Carrie's department is working on bylaws to deal with that right now, and that's been out in the public, and it's been on our council meetings. So even for that to be 2.93, that's just simply because someone's not interested. That's all I can say about that, because we've been working so hard on that, and the whole core block is down. So that just kind of, you know what I mean? That just kind of gives an indication of, yeah. Anyway, I had to say that when I seen that.
When the survey went out, was this the question that was asked, or is it worded a little differently now?
No, that's it.
Tara, I just have a question around first one there. I have a good understanding of the city's economic development initiatives and the outcomes they are expected to achieve. And there's a 2.97 there, right? But the question is being asked to the person that's filling this out, is it not? Not to the city.
Yeah.
So I don't, maybe I'm not getting that one right.
It's just their perspective of,
My perspective.
yeah, it doesn't mean that they're the city's not aware of it and it's not happening. This is just that they have a good understanding of what's happening with the economic development.
Because Mike puts a report out once a month, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like a huge report. So if you're not reading the report, like I get it, you know,
Right.
if you're not reading the report, then you're not gonna understand what's happening, economic development.
And that's something also, maybe people aren't aware that he's putting out a report. So I get it, yep, and I try to share things that are coming through, but, you know, maybe I can do a better job of sharing, if you want the information directly, that it's coming through.
From Mike, you don't just automatically send it out to your members? Oh, so that's the communication barrier right there, right? I mean, would it, you think?
Yes, it could be. We can start putting the whole link in our newsletters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
a suggestion, because I know he does that, and that's a lot of work, it's lengthy.
Well, just,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to sort out which is the question and which is the answer, like Bruce just said there. I have a good understanding. Is that somebody's answer? But you told me that was the question.
That's a statement that, if I can say,
Mhm.
that's a statement that the chamber made, as the 65 people that replied answered
Is
to that statement, how they felt. I guess, is that, Kara?
Right, so
Yes.
are they rating the city or are they rating the chamber?
Well, they're rating economic, like what they know, they're rating each question.
Yeah, anyway, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just want to make note, I put the number up here that's in the survey, but it's not the right number. So I just want to make note. It was, do you agree with the current municipal investments? And I just want to make note that the 40% no, they clicked no because they just said, I'm just not well aware enough with the investments to say yes. So it wasn't that they don't agree with it. What I should have done was had one in there that says, I'm not sure, or I don't know what the investments are. So to me, I would say that's more of a 85-15 split. If I were to take out those I don't knows. But I did put up, these are some quotes that came back from that particular question. And that's why I put the first line was do not have a clear understanding of current investments, because that was a lot of that 40% knows. And I know, Barb, it's really frustrating. I know it is. And I did want to put some highlights in here because there are lots of people that do know what the city's doing. And I don't want you to think that there isn't. So as you can see, Economic Development Office is focusing on high-tech, high-income jobs, which positively impacts the Summerside economy. There are people that recognize that. So it doesn't go completely unnoticed.
Saying is if I had interest in the city, if I was a business person out there, and if I had interest in what was going on, I would have interest in what was going on, and I would find out. If I didn't, wouldn't matter. So when I don't and it doesn't matter, I'm not going to have the answers. Correct? You know, I just think that's just the way we are as people and business people. Or so I don't think it's right or wrong. I just think either you have the interest or you don't.
The next comment, I just put in here, it was mentioned kind of twice in the survey, just worded, the other one was worded a little bit different. And it was just focusing on the arts community. Obviously, a couple people felt that there was a lot going on around the sports, which, again, they said is great. But there was a couple in the arts community that were wondering what initiatives do you invest in the arts side of things.
So is that why the comment was around sports, which is great, the bottom half of the
Yep.
statement, but the city is more than sports?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we talked about over budget.
And there was 2 people out of the 2 members out of the 370, you said?
They didn't have to write a comment here, so there was 2 people that wrote comments about it. There might have been more people that thought it, but 2 people had wrote the comment.
When these comments come in, you know what members was it confidential? What word am I looking for when they replied to a question? Unanimous, they were?
For the most part, I can see what industry is responding. So I can see I can tell that there was, say, construction and retail and manufacturing that responded. Solar, again, this was a quote that came in through the survey. Renewables are the future. The city is providing leadership in the province for this. It is recognized, and it was mentioned in there. The green initiatives were mentioned in there multiple times. And then you had mentioned the downtown core block. There was, I'll say, quite a few comments. There's a lot of questions about the downtown core block, why nothing has happened. And then just questions on the eco business park. You know, what kind of businesses are coming in? When is it going to start? You know, when's construction going to start? Who are they trying to attract? Do we have, set tenants coming in? I know Mike tries to kind of give an update on that, and I'm sure if he was here, he would roll his eyes at me. But there was a lot of questions on the progress of the downtown core block and the eco business park.
And I guess I'll just speak to that, being the downtown council liaison. I would say in the run of a month, in various meetings, in various updates or discussions, that downtown core block and the eco business park are discussed. But there's so many moving parts for tenants, for interested developers, some are, but then there's a lot of logistical information that has to be worked out. Plus, there's a lot of things that are confidential that the city is not at liberty to discuss until things become finalized, or there's agreement or a memorandum of understanding, public relations that can be released. So we're putting ourselves as a city into jeopardy, and we can't discuss that. And I can tell you, of every council member and the mayor and administration, there is a lot of work that goes into it, and it's just like we're not in a position until things are ready to come forward. And I think that's the part you mentioned earlier.
That was to my comment earlier.
There's work being
Yeah.
done behind the scenes.
Yep. So I know that at times it's difficult to communicate because you legally can't. Things are confidential until they get to a point where it can be released. And yes.
Talking about dilapidated buildings, so the Holland College is coming down now. That should be down by the end of, so those are pretty huge projects that, yeah.
I guess when your survey here about the city businesses and everything, but do you ever do a survey, or is there a survey done on the chamber?
Mm-hmm.
You did one of those too?
Yep, we did our last one in December.
Okay, so did we get a copy of that?
You want to see some results? Yeah.
No, I didn't see a copy of that, so, I mean, there's room for improvement in every organization, including, the city or in any organization, so I'm just wondering about that, but you said one was done?
Oh, yes, and I absolutely agree. That's why we survey our members, because we don't know what we don't know. We may think we're doing a really good job, and it comes across that we're maybe not communicating well enough or the right way. So, yeah, we definitely survey the membership as well.
Thank you.
And I think that sometimes it is really, you're the message bearer bringing back the report or the review to Summerside. And I hope we're not coming across to you like we're, being negative or whatever. But I think as civic leaders, we also have to defend the fact that when we try hard, we try very hard. When we're engaged, we're very engaged. But I think for some of the comments that come in, if people were to come behind any one of us in the run of a day or a week or a month, hopefully they might be able to keep up, because I can tell you we are very, very involved with whether it be committees, whether it be attending different events and functions or whatnot, because we feel that that's very important for the transparency piece, and to be very involved is what our residents and the business community does ask. And again, I say you're the messenger, so I think that's a little bit hard to read that when we think we do try very hard. So it's a little bit disconcerting when maybe people, in fairness, are putting in comments, but they really don't know the level or the detail of the work and the effort that is being made.
And also keep in mind, there may have been newer business owners, do this survey that just aren't aware yet. And I would say that may be part of it. We have quite a few new businesses in the last 2 years, and they haven't had the opportunity to network and get out there like the businesses before them. That is something that we've seen in our membership survey, is people are missing that interaction, and I feel for the businesses that started in the last 2 years that haven't been able to go to those networking sessions.
I can just add to what the Councillor Deputy Mayor said there, but I think the other 310 members that didn't answer your survey, out of their 375, I think, approximately your numbers, they would know the answers to the questions that's here and that the Deputy Mayor just asked. The other 310 members that didn't respond, and probably some of the reason they didn't respond because they would know that it takes sometimes months and a year or two to get a project complete. They would understand that as business people. Anyway, go ahead. Somebody's late here. Who's on?
I need to say something. There's been very few times in this chamber where I feel like things aren't going the way they should. I'm sorry, Tara. I don't like the way this is coming across at all. I think we need to do a lot of listening when we're getting criticism from our business community. And I think right now we're doing too much talking and not enough listening, so.
Well, everybody's got an opportunity to
And
ask
I
questions.
just wanted, I had my light on
Councillor
for a bit. I just wanted to say I'm in complete agreement. I don't like the feeling of this. As you mentioned, Your Worship, there was 310 members that didn't say anything. And it's always the negative voices that come out the loudest, unfortunately. If we went to those 310 people and polled just them, this might look totally different. I feel comfortable with what us as a council are doing, and I really appreciate that you came in here tonight and did this, but, and I don't want to say I feel bad for you being put in this spot, but I don't think we as a council have put you in a very good spot right now, because I feel like we put you in an interrogation more than anything. And I don't think it's funny, but that's,
Councillor
anyway,
McDougall.
but I really appreciate it.
Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, Tara, I don't know if you had more slides, or is there more?
Just 2.
2? Anyway, I'll say what I'm going to say. I know that sometimes people take offense to some of these things, but they don't like the answer. But I really think that the process has taken place. We have been given a number. The numbers are what they are. I would like to see a follow-up, because there's a lot of these questions or statements that I think need to be clarified. I think a meeting between the council and the board, or anybody that wants to come in from the chamber, I think we need to sit down and have a nice conversation about how great this city is. And because I can tell you, I've never seen this city so busy. And, just look at the building permits right now. Go around any corner and you'll see a bulldozer or something. The economy is thriving right now, and therefore this council, we're meeting all the time. But I really think, I don't want to take offense to this, and I don't. And I think you're doing a great job. I just think that we need to have a conversation with the chamber. We're done with COVID now. Let's sit down with the chamber and have a good conversation. But I'm interested to see your next 2 slides. Thanks.
Councillor Ramsey, you'd like to-
And thank you, Bruce. And I just have, Tara, thank you for coming in and being the delivery person. I would like to say, if there's anyone out there in the business, with you in the chamber, who has any questions, please feel free to call any councillor, because you know what, when we do get a call If I don't have the answer, I'll find out the answer, and I can, I can help that way, if that's a good way to communicate. But I hope that everybody out there knows that, it's just a matter of picking up the phone and if there's anything that they need to know, because, we are trying, and I'm sure everybody's trying, right? So, but no, not offended at all, but it's interesting to see the numbers, so that's all. And thank you.
And I will, just on that point, say I have never reached out to a counselor either by phone or email and not got a response. So, and that goes for city staff as well. So that's me personally at the chamber as a stakeholder with the city. I can't think of one time in my 5 years where I was ignored or not responded to with a question. So I just want to say that, a thank you for that communication. This is just, again, these questions are all very similar to the last survey, and so if there's a want or a need to change some of it, maybe things have changed and you're looking for different information. But this was just a bit of a comparison on the perception of, people's thoughts. A lot of it really, they consider the cost to be about the same as other municipalities of our size. And for commercial rent, the perception was actually, I think it was the largest one there, with 33% saying lower. So that was just to give you a little bit of an idea on what the perception is in the comparison of those items. And the last one was, we just asked, why is your business in the Summerside area? So we just thought we would give you a little insight on that. 50% hometown. We have 13% endorsed through PNP, lifestyle, and there was one question around green spaces in the city and how they were kept, and it was rated quite high. So the lifestyle really does speak to, the infrastructure that is here, and it is maintained. The city gives me lots of guidance and efficient living conditions. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a visual on why they chose to have their business here.
I think that's one of the most interesting slides, just to see why people are here. And
Yeah, it gives a good insight. And I just wanted to highlight, we just asked, what are some of the biggest concerns and challenges for the business community right now? And I'm sure some of them will not be a surprise to you. But what we did hear from quite a few people was finding employees, so really that labor pool, the increased cost of operating due to inflation. There was comments around the fear of opening or growing the business because of the uncertainty with COVID and what the restrictions and the restraints are. Lack of commercial office space to purchase or lease. And borrowing costs. And just the fact with COVID on the extra debt that the businesses had to take on, that they're now in the process of, trying to pay back, especially in the tourism and hospitality sector.
Just so I'm clear on the percentage, the way that graph is there. The city endorsed the business through the BNP program, 13%. What's 13% of what? Just so I'm trying to have a look at them all, but just an answer to one of them.
We just asked them to pick the main reason why why they chose to have it in Summerside. So it may have been all of those things, but we asked them to pick what is the main reason, what's the core reason that you picked your business to be there. So for 13%, their core reason was because they were endorsed through PMP.
So does that mean percentage of new businesses coming here from the PNP program? Where is that in the pecking order, say, for Charlottetown or Amherst or Glasgow? What would another town get in percentage-wise, I wonder?
I can't tell you that. I know that the cities has raised quite a bit in the last couple of years. Charlottetown had quite a high percentage with the PMP settling there. Now with to be truthful, actually, something that I'm struggling with is the PMP clients that are endorsed here and they start their business, but they choose to settle in Charlottetown, which means their kids are going to school, they're doing their grocery shopping, their kids are playing sports there, I'm working really hard to try to retain that business here, but their roots aren't here. So I try to work really hard with the PMP to, try to keep that, at least that business side of things here for after the timing on things.
Like the 3% that were cost-efficient living conditions, 3%. I don't know whether my shirt collar's too tight, but what exactly does that mean or say of the 60 people that responded?
Yeah, they just felt that Summerside was the affordable place to live, so that's why they had
Only 3% of them said that?
Well, and like I said, they may, like the people that chose 50% for the hometown may have felt 4 of those other ones were really strong as well, but they only had one option. We didn't ask them to pick what are all the reasons you lived here. We really wanted to break it down to what brought you here, what's the main reason that you're here. And they could only pick one, so it had to be the main one.
But that's not only for somebody coming in last year or the year before. What about a business that's been here for 40 years? Does that fit in here?
That would most likely fall in under the hometown.
So
And possibly
so
lifestyle,
they've been
yeah.
here for 40 years and it's only 50%. Anyway, it's information and it's all broken down. It's just kind of hard to sort out what percentage of the whole thing. But I certainly, it's great to get the survey. And
I just wanted to finish with one quote, because I did my 2 slides, Bruce, I did have someone write this. We just asked the comments, please leave any additional comments or suggestions below. So this was after they did the survey. This was not a mandatory box to fill in. And they wrote, fantastic city to own and operate a business in. The challenges we face as business owners here are no different than most across the country. I look forward to the benefits of infrastructure investments that draw both residents and visitors to our city. A genuine thank you to city staff, our councillors, and the GSCC. So I just wanted to end with that. We had some really great comments, and I hope that this didn't come off as just a negative presentation. Just because I might have wrote one positive thing there doesn't mean that it wasn't mentioned 10 times in the comments. So I'm going to end with that, just in the spirit of the CAPS today. Those are my 3 youngest kids, so we went to their, this is the last night there, obviously, when they won the big game. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any other ones.
Just a comment. Again, I want to thank you. The only thing I really wish we would have been able to see is how the scores may have changed. So you know how, like, at one point they're 2.78, like last year, were they less?
Yeah.
Are we improving or getting worse? And what for the chamber?
And
yeah, but
yes,
even though just that's the only other thing I personally would like to see, if we're improving or getting worse.
Yeah.
I love getting feedback like this, and I really think you need to listen twice as much as you talk and take in that information and really consider, because we could think we are doing an amazing job. Hearing communication does not surprise me one bit. I've been barking since I got in this chair, and so have some other councillors, that I don't think we communicate well enough as a city to business, to residents in general. I think we need to do a better job. The fact we don't have a communications officer is probably one reason why, but I just want to really thank you for and the chamber for giving us feedback and being honest on the feedback. That's important.
We would like to keep doing this annually so that we can, it was a long time. I could have thrown up some numbers on there. But we do want to give that year-to-year comparison so that next year you can take these numbers and see where they're at.
It's a few,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's quite a while, yeah.
Councillor McDougall's like
I just want to say, I hope that the chamber will take us up on our offer to meet with us and discuss these, because, yes, everybody needs a report card, and whether they're good, bad, or in between, I think it's an opportunity to make us all better. So I appreciate it if we can set something up.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
thank
Any
you,
other-
Tara.
Deputy Mayor, do you have a
Yeah,
comment?
just a big thank you. And I know it would take a lot of work to compile all of that information. And as I said, you're the messenger on behalf of the chamber, and we certainly do appreciate that. If you felt that you were in a hot seat, that certainly wasn't the case.
No.
I think because we're representing the residents and things like that, if we don't speak up for them, they're wondering why they have us in this seat. So I just really appreciate the fact that you would take the time and give us all of the information in the review.
Thank you. And when you set up the survey to get it going, how did you decide how you were going to do it? Did you get something from another city that did a survey, or how did you come up with the way you did?
Jane was here when it originally was put out. So I'm not sure if she collaborated with the city, if it was a board, the GSCC board, that kind of came up with the questions. So this is kind of a follow-up on the previous one that was done.
I think the first one that was done was when either Jonathan Greenan was the president or incoming, or maybe Dan Kuchar was the president incoming. It was right around then, because I can remember both of them doing part of the review. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've gotten to the end of, unless you got something further to sum up, Tara?
No, I guess just that was my last scorecard presentation. I just have a couple weeks left. We are having our mixer on May 25th at the Dome, so we're partnering with the Canada Games team. I think it's going to be really fun. We're bring your sneakers and your casual clothes, because we want people to go out and experience the facility, not just come out and kind of look around. So yes, you're more than welcome to come out to that.
And
Well, we thank
Tara,
you.
I'm sorry, I just
You go
wanted to
ahead.
thank you for all of the work that you've done in that 5-year period. You've certainly been very involved in many aspects with the chamber, and I know you've carried that banner a lot of times, a lot of the work and detail behind the scenes. So thank you so much for everything that you've done, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara, and all the best to you in your whatever you do in the future. And thank you for your great work over the last, you say 5 years or so? And all the best to you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll continue on here. Chamber of Commerce update, that's finished. We'll continue on. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you want, or some of it, Tara, but that's up to you. And I just got a few things under correspondence here. I'll not take very long. This was one I attended on the weekend, 50th wedding anniversary of Heber and Doreen Rayner, and PEI annual meeting for the PEI Federation of Municipalities. That was on April the 25th, down in the North Shore Town Hall, Community Hall, and this was Tim Horton said they did the tour here in Summerside with the ambassador on April the 25th. And let's see, there was another banquet I attended, and the annual meeting in Summerside here for the Knights of Columbus. That was on March the 10th. Construction Association of Prince Edward Island. There are two associations, there's the Construction Association and as well as the Road Builders Association. They were both in Charlottetown, and a large crowd attended. And there's one, maybe Deputy Mayor might be commenting on that 100th anniversary for women in politics. That was May 3rd. And the airport annual meeting was held on April the 29th in Charlottetown, and Summerside and Charlottetown were invited to that, and I did go down to that. So it is really busy with many things going on, and a lot of things that besides meetings. I attended the 99th birthday, I attended a 90th birthday, 2 90th birthdays, and a 70th wedding anniversary, and a 50th wedding anniversary in the weekend, and 3 weeks ago or so was the 90th birthday of Mrs. Phyllis Wedge. So, and then plus, we make sure we comment or contact all of the seniors in all of the manors in Summerside. So there's Wedgwood and Park Hill and Andrews and Somerset. So that means a lot of time and a lot of work. So it's important. The seniors built this great community, and we try to, when we get invitations to attend their special day, we attend, and council members are notified of that. So that's all I have under communications. Councillor Ramsey?
I just was going to ask, Your Worship, if it would be possible to put financial services maybe down to number 8. So, because we have people here for resolutions, and we also have our legal affairs here for HR and legal, and then at least those folks would have.
I'm easy, but whatever the finance
Would that be
chair-
okay?
Is that okay with
Just
the
so
finance chair?
they've been, is that okay? Because we're going to do it anyway, but we can move our stuff down if that's.
Okay, so finance,
So we're,
planning
well, we
board?
need to do planning board. We're just moving number 5.
Okay, planning board, who's filling in for our chair? Councillor Adams?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Councillor
yes.
Adams, yeah.
Our chair is
Your Worship.
in the family commitment. He couldn't be with us tonight, but we have a quorum.
Okay, so we'll start out with resolution COS 22-051, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. And I just want to make sure, you want this all read in, correct? Okay, perfect. There's a few, so I just, rather than go through it all, we'll refer to CAO. Whereas an application for a major subdivision was received from McDuff Holdings, Inc. to subdivide PID number 615278 into 50 lots, shown on preliminary subdivision plan prepared by HGE Engineering, Inc., titled Conceptual Subdivision Plan, sheet number 1, dated April 18, 2022. And whereas in accordance with section 3.6 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, conformity with the zoning bylaw, the orderly and following nature of the development, physical suitability of the site for the proposed development, including avoidance of natural hazards, undue water runoff, or environmental damage, compatibility of the proposed development with the present and future surrounding patterns of streets, lots, and services, including conformity with any city concept plans, adequacy of the applicant's proposal for traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian access, water supply, sewage disposal, and storm drainage, including the adequacy of city streets and services to handle increased loads, suitability of parkland provisions, impact on city finances and budget, proof of conformity with any applicable provincial legislation and regulation, other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that Council grant preliminary subdivision approval in accordance with Section 8.5 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw to McDuff Holdings, Inc. to subdivide PID number 615278 into 50 lots shown on preliminary subdivision plan by HGE Engineering, Inc., titled Conceptual Subdivision Plan, sheet number 1, dated April 18, 2022, subject to the following conditions. The developer satisfies all municipal servicing requirements. The developer satisfies the parkland dedication. The developer enters into a subdivision construction agreement with the city. The developer shall satisfy the North Reeds Creek Conservation Area Extension, 820, and the Reeds Creek Greenway, 790. This bears recommendation of the planning board meeting held on May 3rd, 2022.
So it's been moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Ramsey.
Yep.
Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried.
Resolution COS 22-052, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barb Ramsey, whereas an application for a major subdivision was received from IPAX Inc. to subdivide PID number 937755 into 4 residential lots, lot 22-1, 22-2, 22-3, and 22-4, and approve lot 05-9, PID number 937771, as shown on preliminary subdivision plan prepared by Morris Geomatics and Engineering Limited, drawing number 22023.101, plotted April 26, 2022. And whereas in accordance with section 3.6 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, conformity with the zoning bylaw, the orderly and following nature of the development, physical suitability of the site for the proposed development, including avoidance of natural hazards, undue water runoff, or environmental damage, compatibility of the proposed development with the present and future surrounding patterns of streets, lots, and services, including conformity with any city concept plans, adequacy of the applicant's proposal for traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian access, water supply, sewage disposal, and storm drainage, including the adequacy of city streets and services to handle increased loads, suitability of parkland provisions, impact on city finances and budget, proof of conformity with any applicable provincial legislation and regulation, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved, the Council grant preliminary subdivision approval in accordance with section 8.5 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw to IPAX Inc. to subdivide PID number 937755 into 4 residential lots, lot 22-1, 22-2, 22-3, and 22-4, and approve lot 05-9, PID number 937771, as shown on preliminary subdivision plan prepared by Morris Geomatics and Engineering Limited, drawing number 22023.101, plotted April 26, 2022, subject to the following conditions. The developer satisfied all municipal servicing requirements, and the developer enters into a subdivision construction agreement with the city. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on May 11th, 2022.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
Resolution COS 22-053, moved by Councillor Barb Ramsey, seconded by myself, whereas an application was received from Marcel and Yvonne Gallant at 6 Marion Drive, PID number 744052, and whereas section 12 of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw states that a pool deck complete with guard shall be a minimum of 1.2 meters or 4 feet from a rear or side lot line. And whereas section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw allows for a variance to be granted after council has considered the following tests. A, that the hardship is due to unique physical conditions of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot shape, existing building location on the property, or exceptional topographical conditions which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with bylaw standards. Exceptional topographical conditions may include but are not limited to trees, slopes of the land, etc. B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be it resolved, the council grant a variance of 25% to allow a pool deck guard 0.9 meters from rear yard lot line. This application bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting of May 3rd, 2022.
You all heard the resolution? All in favor say aye. Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Ramsey.
No, yeah.
Upset.
Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Ramsey?
No, moved by Councillor Ramsey, second.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to plead guilty here. I wrote the names down before we got to it. I had them written ahead. Okay, moving back and forth, that's fine. Any further questions on the resolution?
Just one question, Your Worship. Was
Councillor
there any
Snow.
comments or feedback from neighboring properties regarding it? We hadn't received any. Okay.
I'll
All in
carry
favor
on.
say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Did you have something to add?
No, I was just going to keep going. Sorry, I forgot
Okay.
you had to do the next part.
Okay. I better wait till see who moves in second before I write the names in.
It's all right.
Your turn this time, or Barb's?
Yep.
Here it comes.
Resolution COS 22-054, moved by Councillor Barb Ramsey, seconded by myself. Whereas Richard Inglis is requesting council approval in accordance with Section 13 of the licensing bylaw CS-21 to operate a mobile sales establishment, Fork It Over, at 214 MacEwen Road. By Right Truck Parts 2000 Inc. is the property owner. And whereas Section 13 of the licensing bylaw provides that council shall allow or refuse an application based on the following considerations: safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other consideration as it deems appropriate. Be it resolved that council grant approval to Richard Inglis to operate a mobile sales establishment, Fork It Over, at 214 MacEwen Road, by Right Truck Parts 2000 Inc., property owner. The license is subject to paying a license fee of $500 for a local business as per licensing bylaw CS-21 regulations. Special events require written approval of the event organizer submitted to the city 3 days in advance. A food health permit is approved by the province. Litter disposal containers are provided on site. Hours of operation 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Connection of any pipe, hose, etc. to the city system requires city approval. This bears a recommendation of the planning board meeting on May 3rd, 2022.
Okay, moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Is that all you have on,
Yeah, I'm just gonna go into the.
all you have on the planning board?
That's on all I have for that part. Yeah.
So do you want to, okay. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
We're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll go into right into the monthly report, HR and legal affairs, joint occupational health and safety committee, as well as department subcommittees. Yeah, he's coming up. I just have to quickly go through these, and then his is the next one. The department provided support at various meetings this month. Health and wellness programs for staff are continuing throughout the spring and summer, with 52 staff signed up. Seasonal positions have been filled, and currently open is a manager of financial services position and a GIS CAD foreman. And just quickly, Your Worship, I'll go through the Culture Summerside report, and then we can spend some time with Ian and CAO Rob.
Okay, did you mention the ones, the last line there, first aid and CPR?
The first aid and CPR continues to be held for staff. Yeah, that's a monthly.
Okay, thank you.
One. For Culture Summerside, the Culture Summerside staff and community partners are preparing exhibits. The content for the opening of the newly renovated Summerside Armory. 7 different exhibits are being developed, and a grand reopening will be rescheduled for a date next month. So that's coming close. Culture and heritage staff are currently preparing for a full summer of programming: Old Fashioned Carnival, Summerside Arts Festival, Diversity Festival, Concert in the Garden, Ghost Walk, and a full roster of museum tours at all the heritage and cultural sites within the city. Culture Summerside will be hiring summer staff to fill museum and programming positions, and staff are currently reviewing applicants and are working with the Human Resource Department to interview and hire. Those interested in registering for the parade, the cardboard boat races, lobster trap stacking, or the biscuit and roll, which I don't know what that is, but that sounds interesting. Trivia or amateur country music singing competitions can do so at summersidelobstercarnival.ca. The carnival's full schedule is available online. And lobster supper tickets are now on sale. Tickets for the July 8th and 9th lobster and cold cut suppers, you can get them through the online store and visit summersidelobstercarnival.ca to purchase. It doesn't say on here, but I'm assuming you can go into the Lafergie Center and probably purchase them as well.
$26 a ticket? Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it is 26 plus tax. So
Do you have anything further? Question?
Yeah, I do. I don't have a question, but I do have just an announcement to make regarding Lobster Carnival, and that the amateur country music singing competition will be coming back after 20 years. It's a country competition that we used to have at Lobster Carnival years and years ago, and it was a great draw. It's July 5th and 6th, starting at 7 o'clock at Credit Union Place. The first place prize is $3,000. donated by Warren Ellis at Summerside Chrysler and Dodge. Second place winner, $1,000 donated by Cool Breeze, and third place winner is $500 donated by Anderson Automotive. So there's no age limit. Anybody can enter. You can register by June 1st, and you can send your videos or demos into Summerside Lobster Carnival website, and you can look that up. And we're pretty excited. We have the Chad Matthews Band who's going to be accompanying all the singers, and I'm sure he'll do a little bit of Stompin' Tom for us, and it's just going to be a great couple of evenings. So just wanted to put it out there tonight. We don't have many more evenings that we can advertise this, so if anyone knows anyone that can sing a little bit and would like to be part of this competition, just send your application in or get hold of any of us counselors, and we can kind of direct you on where to go. Thank you.
Thanks.
For sure.
Councillor Adams, you have anything further?
No, I'll just go into the bylaw policy review whenever, if nobody has any further questions. Okay, we have Ian and CAO Rob in position. We're ready to go.
Just before you do, can I just, you had mentioned in June will be the official opening of the Armory building?
Yep.
And the date hasn't been narrowed down yet other than in June, so.
Right.
Just wait till people get an opportunity to see the building. It is beautiful
Yeah.
and nicely done over, and so.
Yeah, and they do have some rooms that are available for rent to the public too, like some smaller meeting rooms, so that's sort of a neat, new, different option for some groups.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to bring everyone up to date on the latest efforts of the BPR committee, this evening we'll be conducting the first reading of proposed changes to the city's elections bylaw. The amended bylaw incorporates various changes identified by Elections PEI to make the city's elections bylaw fully consistent with the other large municipalities, as well as new regulatory amendments. As council is aware, BPR committee has been working on proposed revisions to the unsightly premises bylaw. The goal is to strengthen the definition of what constitutes an unsightly or dilapidated property, as well as propose some options for addressing properties that have been vacant for an extended period of time. The committee has completed its work on this and presented this revised bylaw and a new vacant property bylaw at the May committee meeting of council a couple weeks ago. And tonight we will be conducting first reading of these bylaws, and if they are adopted by council, they will both take effect following second reading at the June monthly meeting of council. That's my report. If there are any questions, we'll go into the resolutions.
Any questions for the chair? Unsightly premises bylaw, I know we've been trying to get teeth in that, and as we talked about at the last meeting, there's only so far the city can go with these, with a complaint, because sometimes the province regulations, policies, laws regarding getting onto somebody's property or getting inside to have it inspected, and then you have all of these kinds of things that will sort of prevent us from taking that other step. So it makes it difficult for a resident when they say, why aren't you cleaning this place up? Or why don't you go in and check it out? You know, it's not that simple. You have to get permission sometimes from the province and from the health department and everything else. So we can only put so much teeth in, or so many teeth. But anyway, we appreciate the efforts of the Policy Review Committee trying to do things to solve some of these problems, because it's very upsetting for some of the people and some of the neighbors that this is happening or has happened. Councillor or Deputy Mayor McColeman.
And just to echo on your comments, as well as Councillor Carrie, a lot of times people may feel like, why do we have to wait so long? But in order for the bylaw policy under review, there has to be the 2 readings so that it is appropriate, and that we don't run into any problems after the fact. So if people can just bear with us, that's what's happening. We're following the process so that it can be really in place and people know that it can be followed.
Okay, Deputy Mayor McDougall, or Councillor McDougall, you're reaching for the mic there.
Just a question too. Is there a 28-day waiting period after these are?
You mean?
Pardon?
An appeal period?
Yeah,
21 days, isn't it?
21 days. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Once this is passed by council, is there a 21-day appeal period in place?
Not in the same way as it would be for like a rezoning
Okay,
decision or
perfect.
something like that, yeah.
Just wanted to know.
Not in the same
Sure.
way, is there another way? What did you mean by that?
Under the Municipal Government Act, someone can apply to the Supreme Court to overturn a bylaw, but it's not an IRAC thing. It's not an automatic right of appeal like you would have to IRAC.
So in other words, following second reading at the June monthly meeting, these will both take, all three of these bylaws will take effect.
So if I may, I might propose to go first through the elections bylaw, and so as
Is that for this year? There's an election this year, I guess, is it? Yeah.
that's right. There is indeed, Your Worship, and so Elections PEI, who conducts the elections on behalf of the city, had done a deep dive on the city's bylaw and presented a number of recommendations for changes. As well, the province had done some amendments to the regulations back in the fall that came into effect early in 2022. So really what you have before you is a bylaw that's just designed to kind of bring us up to speed, more or less. So just to kind of follow the process for the record, this is bylaw number CS-1-D. We have a short description. It's a bylaw to ensure the city's election bylaw remains consistent with recent regulatory amendments and the practice of elections PEI in conducting municipal elections. We do have printed copies available if there's anyone who would like to review one.
And those will also be online. We just weren't able to get the package up today. We were having an upload issue, so those will be available online for people to look at too.
Okay.
So for that, resolution COS 22-055, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Justin Duran, whereas amendments are required to the CS-1 elections bylaw, be it resolved that CS-1-D, a bylaw to amend the elections bylaw, be read a first time.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Duran. Any questions, comments? I do not see any speaker lights on. All in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
And resolution COS 22-056, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Justin Duran, be it resolved that a bylaw to amend the elections bylaw CS-1-D be declared read a first time.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Duran. All in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
Ian, did you want to speak to this before we?
Sure. So the next one, I'm not sure what's on the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
What's next?
It is resolution COS 22-057, and it's unsightly property bylaw CS-11, first reading and first reading approval.
Okay.
Okay.
Very
Sorry.
good. So this is a bylaw that's designed basically to replace the current bylaw that's been in place for quite some time. It's called the Dangerous, Hazardous, Unsightly Premises Bylaw.
It is called or was called?
It currently is. The one that's before you, though, is called the Unsightly Property Bylaw.
So the one we're voting on is the unsightly one.
Unsightly Property Bylaw. That's right, Your Worship. Yeah. So this bylaw will be called CS-11. A short description is a bylaw to provide minimum property standards and manage unsightly properties in the city of Summerside. We do have printed copies here for members of the public as well. We had spoken about this last week, but just to bring everyone up to speed, basically the bylaw defines what is an unsightly property. The bylaw that's in place today defines that quite narrowly. The bylaw that you have before you now expands that definition to be basically exactly consistent with what is the definition under the Provincial Act. The province also has an Unsightly Properties Act, and the bylaw that's before you is pretty much a mirror image of what the Provincial Act is. The one way in which the definition of an unsightly property is a little different at the municipal level is that we have included a provision for long grass.
And I think we also discussed, sorry, I didn't see any other lights on. Sorry,
No,
Madam
no,
Chair,
that's still.
that there was one municipality that left themselves out of it. But I think it was the agreement among councillors here that we not be left out of it. If the city has an unsightly property, that we can't have it.
Yes, Your Worship, and I think that was under our vacant property bylaw, which we'll get to in a moment,
Okay.
and I had made that amendment.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is when a staff person determines that a property meets the definition of an unsightly property, they can issue a cleanup order, basically clean it up. Requiring the property owner to clean up their property. If the owner fails to comply, then the city is authorized to come in and basically do that work to clean it up themselves. And the costs of doing so become a debt owing by the property owner. The Municipal Government Act provides for that authority. So staff are ultimately responsible for the day-to-day administration of the bylaw. They're the ones who issue the orders that require property owners to clean up their property, which is things like removing litter, refuse, derelict vehicles, or cutting long grass, which, as I understand, is a perennial problem. What council's role is that where an order is issued to an owner, a resident has 14 days where they can appeal the order to council. And there's a process, it's in section 8 of the bylaw, that basically allows that individual to be heard by council, to present their side of the story, and council has the ability to either confirm the order, to amend it, or to revoke it. Okay, there's a couple of other provisions there with respect to the definition of a dilapidated building or structure. It's essentially a structure that's in a serious state of disrepair, but that might not meet the definition of a dangerous building in the sense that it's structurally unsound. So this kind of, we're differentiating between disrepair as a more of a cosmetic feature versus structurally unsound, which is dealt with under our building bylaw. So where a property is unsightly in that kind of serious state of disrepair, there is an option in the bylaw which is, again, consistent with the Provincial Act, where council can order, pass a resolution to have the property demolished. My thinking is that the normal process would be that the order is issued, that the person can repair the property, and it would really only be then if they flaunted that order that it would get to that level. It's not a first option. Okay. There's also something that's a little bit new in this bylaw that was an idea that I took from another municipality, and there's obviously no requirement for council to agree that this is a good idea, but that where the city takes at their own initial expense to clean up a property, whether that be to send someone out to cut the grass or something along those lines, there is the option of adding an administration fee of 25% of the cost up to a maximum of $750 as a way of a bit of cost recovery for the city if it is forced to take those actions. It wouldn't be required if the person complies with the order.
Ian, is that on top of the cost to clean up? So it would be 25% up to $750 plus the cost of whatever needs.
That's right. So if the cost was $100 and the city's cost, they spent $25 on gas to go out and cut an acre or something, then it would be $125 would be what they'd be looking to recoup from the resident.
Just so I'm clear on that, so how can the city go on somebody's property and do this if the person that owns it has a court order or has a lawyer saying, you're not coming on my property? So is there a way that we could get stalled from getting it cleaned up, a legal way?
I suppose if someone had a lawyer and they were kind of making that claim, we'd probably look at that on a case-by-case basis, Your Worship, in terms of what the options are. Any one of the city's bylaws, we can go to the Supreme Court to get a court order to enforce it. The bylaw provides you with the authority to do that, and as does the Municipal Government Act. So the city has the authority to go on the property to clean it up. If someone initiated a lawsuit, then it would be probably worthwhile to respond to that.
when you have the authority, I understand what you said, but would you just come onto somebody's property and not notify them that you're coming on a Thursday or next Monday at 10 o'clock? Or, I guess, for safety purposes and whatever, how do you handle that?
So
You just-
a few
once you
things.
get it, sorry, once you get it approved in there in council to move forward, then what? You have to go to get a court order?
So a few things, Your Worship. So before an enforcement officer is even going to take that step to issue the order under the bylaw, they have to give a 24-hour notice that they're going to enforce the bylaw. So there is a notice provision there. Then there's the order, which itself gets issued. There's a 14-day cooling off waiting period where they can appeal to the council. And it would only be after that is either that 14-day period is passed or the matter is dealt with at the council level, that next step would be taken. So the residents, there's quite a bit of procedural fairness baked into the bylaw.
Okay, and it is pretty long and complicated, which I can understand that it has to be, but if a property has to be demolished, and we've had those situations over the years where they're half falling into the basement, and so there are provisions for that here too.
So it really depends though, Your Worship. So if it's falling into the basement, that would be arguably more of a structural issue,
Right.
which falls under your building bylaw, and your building officer has the authority to deal with that. This is a little more...
Structurally and unsightly as well.
Well, it's true. If it was structurally unsound, it could be unsightly as well.
And unsafe, because the one I'm referring to was over on, was it Euston Street or someplace over there a couple of years ago, and the building was falling in, the raccoons and skunks were living in it, and a whole bunch of things. And it was a nightmare to try to get it sorted out.
Mm-hmm. So in the last year or so, Your Worship, the new Building Codes Act came in, and the authority of the building official to deal with a dangerous property, which is that one that's more structurally unsound, has been confirmed. So there is clearer lines of authority here than might have been in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from any members of council? You have something further to add, do you? Mr. McColeman?
No, that's my summary, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's not a question, it's more of a statement, I guess. I reading through it all, it looks good to me. It looks like we're moving in the right direction. But to be consistent with everything, I think we're lacking on the enforcement side, and continuing to think it's okay and rely on our police officers to do this type of work, I think is a disservice to our police department, to the important work they need to do on a daily basis. And I know in talking to Chief and listening to him that it is getting done. Nobody is arguing that fact. It's the quality of work they could be doing above regular maintenance of an unsightly bylaw complaint, and the time it actually takes. So I know we have money in the budget to get a bylaw officer, and I would continue to encourage our HR department to finally hire somebody.
Councillor Ramsey, I think.
Yeah, and I won't go far with this, but Councillor Snow, when you were away a couple of weeks ago, we did have this discussion. We brought it to council, and I know you couldn't log on. You couldn't come on that night.
I could hear it, and there was an insinuation that the current structure is okay. I guess that's been my argument from the start. I don't think the current structure where our police force is enforcing these laws is okay. I think it's a waste of resources when we know the quality work they can and should be doing. So.
And I agree 100%. So that's what I was going to say. We did, CAO Rob, I think they were going to do some more investigating and further look into how we make that happen. And that's kind of where it was left 2 weeks ago. So we're not finished with it, Corey. It's just been a long old haul. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, so before we get into the vacant one, we'll do the resolutions for this one. Resolution COS 22-057, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Justin Duran. Whereas a bylaw is required to provide minimum property standards and manage unsightly properties in the city of Summerside. Be it resolved that CS-11 Unsightly property bylaw be read a first time.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Drawn. You've all heard the resolution. Can I just ask a question here, Madam Chair, and maybe Mr. McCarville? As a result of this, these bylaws we're bringing in tonight, are we waiting for something to be approved to get after a couple of the problems that we have? I guess that's not for, I guess that's for staff versus, go ahead.
Yeah, I think when we had first discussed this with council a couple of weeks ago, we did acknowledge that there are a couple of, I guess, locations or properties that are causing particular challenges under the current iterations of these bylaws. So it is hoped that with the formal adoption of these new bylaws following the June monthly meeting, that it will give us the impetus to be able to go out and address the properties that are giving.
Okay, because the reason I mentioned that, Mr. CEO, the Councillor McDougall, is a situation that he's been trying to deal with for over a year, and we got as far as we could go. But I'm wondering, as a result of this tonight, can he get his problem solved? And I know there was a lady in the other day with another area with a very serious problem.
After the June meeting,
We can, but we can what? I guess that's what I'm wondering. Can we get the problem solved, or are we going to run?
We enforce this bylaw after it's approved in our June meeting, right?
Okay.
So
So
this is
can you see, as the councillor representing that area, trying to deal with that problem for so many months, that this will get it solved? I guess that's what we're looking for, to get these problems solved.
It's our intent to try to bring the full force of the new bylaw on these new properties and other ones that may come up,
Yeah.
right?
This is definitely a whole lot better than what we have, and I'm hoping that, I'm sorry, this is definitely a whole lot better than what we have, and I appreciate all the work that's gone into it. Yeah, so.
So after the research that was done for this one, and we go to deal with that situation or some others, and if we come into a roadblock, you know, I guess there's no sense in coming back and try to look at this one again, because I think you've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to come up with whatever reasons possible to solve these problems.
This
But I
is
guess we have to deal
similar to the provincial one, right?
It mirrors it almost identically, yeah. It's very, very similar to the Provincial Act, and in that sense that the Municipal Government Act provides the authority for the city to pass a bylaw regulating unsightly properties, and so we figured rather than reinvent the wheel, let's put in a law that's quite similar to the powers the province has.
Thank you. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so
Oh,
resolutions.
I guess, sorry, we didn't vote on that yet. I had a question there before we voted. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Carried.
Resolution COS 22-058, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman. Be it resolved that CS-11 Unsightly property bylaw be declared read a first time.
I want to try and turn over a little more quickly here. Moved by, what's the resolution number?
058.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman.
Yep.
You've all heard the resolution. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Carried. Unanimously.
So before we go into the vacant building bylaw, Ian, did you want to do a preamble on the?
Sure, yeah. So, again, just for the record, this one would be CS-36, the vacant building bylaw. We've got a short description, a bylaw to govern vacant buildings within the city of Summerside. We also do have printed copies here as well. So, the purpose of this bylaw is to regulate and secure vacant buildings in the city. And just to give you a sense of how it works, so under this bylaw, where there's a vacant building, an owner of that vacant building would be required to obtain a vacant building permit, basically a permit from the city.
This is not only commercial. It could be commercial or residential.
That's right, Your Worship. Yep. It does, there's a cost up front. It's a permit that lasts 4 years, and the cost is paid up front under the bylaw as it currently stands. And again, certainly open to the perspectives of you as policymakers in terms of whether you'd want to make changes to this, but the cost currently is set at $2,485. Again, it's valid for 4 years. And if the property is reoccupied during those first 4 years, then a portion of that cost is refunded.
So that building, again, just so we're clear, it could be a commercial building, it could be a house, but what about somebody's backyard with an old shed that's unsightly?
So we're outside of the unsightly
Okay,
part.
whatever it is here then, but
Yeah,
we're talking buildings.
yeah, it's vacant, so, yeah, no, I don't think it would be the correct interpretation of the bylaw, your worship, that it would, a shed, because a shed wouldn't normally be occupied.
Well, vacant from what? People?
Right, so the idea would be that a building that's normally intended to be occupied, and another example, your worship, is that a barn on a farm property is exempt from this bylaw. Okay, so again, there's a portion of that fee that is refunded. The fees and the schedule for refunds is set out in Schedule D to the bylaw, so you can take a look at that. And because they're in a schedule, they can be changed by simple resolution of council. We don't need to amend the bylaw to change the fee structure. So prior to obtaining a permit, the building official and a representative of the fire department will inspect the building. And similarly to the current rules that are in place in the city today for securing vacant properties, there are requirements for things such as boarding it up, fencing, and we've also added the requirement to ensure regular site visits and inspections where appropriate. So there is some discretion in there for the building official if he or she considers that appropriate. So just to give you a sense of what the staff's role is, staff are responsible for the day-to-day administration of the bylaw. Much of that responsibility with the bylaws currently drafted falls on the building officer. They're the one who reviews the permit applications, conducts inspections, and issues permits. I do note that there's the potential for the finance department to also have a role in here, in that there are monies coming in, and sometimes those monies will be sent back out. So there is a financial aspect to this. We're processing refunds. And I just threw in as a comment that it's not currently specified in the bylaw, but there is an option for directing permit fees to a specific purpose, which could include something like affordable housing initiatives in the city, or downtown revitalization, or whatever you consider appropriate. Where council fits in is similar to the other bylaw, is that where an order is issued to a property owner, whether it's we consider the property to be vacant, you need a permit, or to secure the property in a certain way, you need to board it up, you need to put some fencing up, things of that nature. The owner can file an appeal to council within 14 days. It's Section 8, again, of the bylaw that sets out that process, and council can confirm the order, amend the order, or revoke it. So in that way, council retains general oversight over the staff and their interactions with the public under the bylaw. There's a similar rule to the bylaw that we just went through, where if a person fails to secure the property, the city can take those steps necessary to do so. That's the boarding up, that's the fencing, those sorts of things.
Is there a time on that if the person fails? You know, is there a time, or do we got to come up with the time? At the time, you got a month or 2 months or a week?
Yeah, so the building official or whoever issues the order has a time frame that's set out in the bylaw. It's generally set to a maximum of 30 days. The building official can extend that time if they consider it appropriate. For example, maybe the person is planning to reoccupy in a short time, or maybe they're planning to demolish it and they're applying for a demolition permit or something like that. So there is some authority for the building official to make those rules, but as a general matter, your worship, it's 30 days. Okay, and I mentioned last time the administration fee for those costs. If the city's going to go to the expense of boarding up a property or something like that, then there is that 25% administration fee up to a maximum $750.
I think we already did that with one property on Water Street East there beside the Bishop's Foundry. I think the city had to go and close that up and
If we didn't do a very good job.
No, but I think they had to go back and do it again, because some of these people, you know, they can take the plywood off and cause more damage.
And that is one of the things as well, Your Worship, in the bylaw, that the obligation to secure the property is ongoing. It's not a one-time thing. It is ongoing. So a couple of the changes that I did make in light of some of the comments that were received at the committee level last week was the definition of a vacant building had been a 60-day time period. I changed it to 90 days. It was just that, change 60 to 90. If council felt it was appropriate to change that again, that would be something that would be relatively simple to do between now and second reading. There are exclusions, people who don't need to get a permit. That's a seasonal residence. There's farm properties. And this is the one, Your Worship, where we got rid of the rule that would otherwise exempt the city from the requirement to get a permit.
What did you say about North Island residents or tourists? Did you just say
A
that?
seasonal residence.
Seasonal,
So, yeah, so one that is intended to be occupied only in the summer
Yeah.
would not require a vacant building permit under the bylaw.
What if it wasn't safe or unsightly? I know
Yeah,
got
so-
two
so,
or three different things here, but
right.
that same thing could happen with a seasonal resident.
You're certainly right, Your Worship, and the way I think about it is if we're talking about safe, we're under the building bylaw.
Okay.
If we're talking about unsightly, we're under the unsightly property bylaw, and if we're talking about vacant, we're under this bylaw.
Yeah, I know that, but that doesn't exclude the person outside of the province.
Right.
Or does it?
I guess what I'm saying, Your Worship, is even though they might not need to get a permit under this bylaw, if the property was either unsightly or unsafe, there are still mechanisms for dealing with them.
Okay.
Okay. I also included in the bylaw what I call a transitional provision, which gives 180 days. Again, that number is easy to change, but that's 6 months after the bylaw comes into force to obtain a permit. It is a relatively high cost, and it's kind of giving notice to the residents. This law is coming in, it's in force once second reading hits, but in terms of the time to actually get the permit, there is a grace period, you might say, which could be changed. It could be 60 days, could be 90 days. I have it in there as 180 days. It really, again, is something that could be changed by council between now and second reading, relatively easily, okay? Yeah, and I think that's it.
Just a comment, Madam Chair, I think Councillor Snow had mentioned it. The dollars, the city, we have the dollars in the budget for the bylaw officer. And I know, I think at the last meeting, I think that might have been the meeting you were at the province, Councillor Snow, the police chief was here. And the committee, the police chief and the CAO have been working on this for a number of months and get it narrowed down. And I thought they had a person, ready to go, and one person left and went to work someplace else, and then they narrowed down a number of times, and then it didn't work out. So it's still been worked upon, to my knowledge, by the police chief and our CAO to try to get somebody in place. But it's not that kind of a job that you get 1,001 people wanting it. I mean, it's been difficult to get applications or people applying for the job, but the dollars are in the budget, and they're still working on trying to get somebody in place, but they're not lining up to come and do that kind of work.
Okay, we'll go into the resolution, COS 22-059, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman, whereas it is desirable to regulate and secure vacant buildings within the city of Summerside, be it resolved that CS-36 vacant building bylaw be read a first time.
Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
And resolution COS 22-060, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman, be it resolved that CS-36 vacant building bylaw be declared read a first time.
Okay, I'm trying to get the pages turned here. Is that 060?
Yep.
Moved by yourself and seconded by Deputy Mayor McColeman?
Yep.
You've all heard the resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Councillor McDougall had a question.
Just a question around the 180 days. If we decide that that's too long, what's the process? We tell you now, or do we address it through the bylaw?
We could,
I suggest that you can make a suggestion this evening, and then we'll make the amendment for second reading. Or if council collectively, after tonight, decides that they want to tighten the period of time, they can issue the comment or feedback through Madam
Right.
Chair.
I
or
just,
to me.
I just question 180 days if it took us this long to get the bylaw in place. I'm sure, 180 days is generous, so I
Councillor-
just would like council to think about that. So-
Councillor Bruce, do you think it could be something between 90 and 180 days, and then we could have a discretion on it, But like put both figures in case it was something that we had a little more leverage on, or do you know what I mean? And I don't know, and that's just a thought, I don't know. if that's
Yeah,
something that would work.
I think it would be preferable, Councillor Ramsey, to set a specific day. It's easier to enforce, yeah.
I'm wondering if setting it at the lower end, giving the building officer has the ability to extend that, would not be more effective. If we have a long window, 180 days, and then the building officer gives them another 60, you're into a year almost. I just
Or the
personally,
building officer leaves or something.
yeah, I personally believe, yeah, exactly, the officer leaves and we can't fill it again for 2 years. I'd personally like to find a way to get it shorter and then allow whoever is enforcing it to.
The version that was presented before you a couple weeks ago had that as 60 days. So there was some discussion about maybe that was short, so I made it quite a bit bigger. But certainly, like I said, the version was 60 days, and the bylaw that acted as a precedent from the city of Cornwall in Ontario was 60 days.
That's a long time for the neighbors, or for the people.
Personally think 60 days is reasonable, especially allowing the enforcement officer, whoever that may be, the ability to extend it if needed.
So is there an amendment?
I think my suggestion, Your Worship, because we've passed or I guess the second resolution hasn't been voted on, but we could do the amendment at second reading, and we'll just
Okay.
read it out.
Okay, that's, I think, friendly agreement among us here right now.
So CAO Rob will, between
So we
him and
didn't vote on
Brian,
this
will
one.
get the wording correct for the.
We didn't vote on this one yet.
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay, carried.
Okay, I think that's it for me, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you, Ian. We appreciate it.
your assistance and your work on this. So where are we now? Are we still on your department, Councillor Adams? You're all, we got all the who's technical services? Councillor Duran. The floor is yours, sir. I think, was Councillor Deputy Mayor McColeman supposed to come back on? Number 8, where are you? Good. You're next. Well, this tech services is number 8. So,
No, Norma was gone, she's finance, she didn't do hers, remember?
so you're next? Is that okay?
Is that a friendly amendment with you?
I think that's how we,
Thank you.
just moved Norma to.
Thank you.
Can hardly stand.
Just turn the mic around so it'll be fairly close, so we won't
All
be
right.
getting texts. We can't hear you.
Carrie, do you still have your stuff plugged in there? Oh, I just didn't know if your stuff was still plugged in, sorry.
Okay, I will be bringing the finance report, the monthly report. I'd like to say good evening to my colleagues, City Council,
Good evening.
and to residents and the business community in the city of Summerside. Our year-end audit will begin at the end of May, and we are on target to meet our deadlines as set by the government of Prince Edward Island. In the next couple of weeks, we will be setting our annual meeting date, likely to be held in late June. Our preliminary results are projecting a small surplus for 2021-22, and we will report on the 22-23 budget year-to-date results, starting with our June monthly report. My report tonight contains an update on the status of our utility accounts receivable, and as of May 6, 2022, the following is being reported. Total overdue balances $216,400 compared to $240,600 at April 12th, 2022. Approximately 7.9 or 17,000, I believe, of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days past due. This compares to 10.9% or $26,300 at April 12th, 2022. A few reminders to our utility customers. Customer portal is available where you can review your account details, access your utility bills, and make payments by credit card or Visa debit. Please see our website at www.summerside.ca and click on My Utilities in the top right-hand corner to access this portal. Or you can contact us by phone, 902-432-1230, and we certainly can send you an invitation to create your account. A budget billing program, which calculates a fixed monthly installment based on the prior 12-month period, is available for Summerside's residential customers. The application form is available on the website. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present this report, and either myself or our Chief Financial Officer, Director Kristen Dunsford, are available to take your questions. And I just have a few very brief comments, Your Worship. And I just want to let my colleagues know that the finance report also contains projection of fund as of March 31st, 2022. And in that report, in your package, a list of the capital projections as of March 31st, 2022. And that you can, if you have any questions or whatnot, you can check with CFO. I'd like to, on behalf of Mayor and Council, express very respectful condolences to the family members of the late Mr. D. Alex McDonald, a longtime businessman and community leader, and he helped many families, charitable organizations, former councillor, as well as very benevolent with places like Prince County Hospital for his support. He will certainly be missed, and another longtime Summerside resident and downtown business owner with his wife Betty for 40 years, Mr. Don Sheen, has passed away, and respectfully we send our condolences. And another longtime Wilmot resident, Mr. Ben Cairns, resident and former city councillor for many years, had a family business for many years, Cairns Motel. And we want to just remember each one of them for their many contributions to the community of Summerside, and may they rest in peace. And just in closing, one other thing, as you mentioned earlier, Mayor Basil, I had the honor for the 1922 centennial for women being able to vote. So there was a recognition, and of course our very own Acadian first woman mayor, Frances Perry, was recognized, and along with other women in politics. And this summer they will be doing a photo collage all around the different museums of Prince Edward Island, and I think that will be just a nice tribute to that centennial. And that concludes my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McColeman. Any questions for the Chair of Finance? And thank you for mentioning that. Condolences, yes, to the D. Alec McDonald family, and Don Sheen and Benny Cairns. I worked with Benny here on this council, and fine gentleman he was, and very, very sharp and witty, and he's gone too young. And Don Sheen, I've known him for a long time, and they had a long time. Sheen started out Sheen and McGuinness, yes, and then Sheen's for shoes, and then D. Alec had the Ford dealership here, and the family still have it. But he was involved in so many things, as well as a councillor, and always there to support the hospital or sports or you name it, and a fine gentleman besides. And so we pass on condolences to all members of the family. So do you have anything further at this time? No, okay, we'll continue on. We get you back on the agenda. Planning board is all finished. And Councillor Duran, Tech Services, you got a busy department again this year.
What do you do, Your Worship? Let's see if I can get out of the chair here.
if you think you'd be a little louder, and maybe, of course, you've got a good voice, it'll carry well for the John Q. Public Home, but if you feel more comfortable sitting, or it'll pick up there.
We're just
Right in.
very directional speaker tonight.
Okay.
I'll aim my head towards the mic. The 2022 construction season and capital projects have begun. Staff have the majority of the tenders for this season out and closed. The construction and inspection of these jobs will continue over the next number of months. The first tenders to start work is the water main replacement tender on Central Street, and it will continue the entire construction season as it is replacing about 1.4 kilometers of water main. Other tenders are set to begin later in May. The city will be updating the webpage to outline the various projects throughout the city to be done this year, as well as providing regular updates to the status of individual sections or projects. Staff continue to review and assist the public with pending developments and building permits to be issued for this year. Staff have been busy with a few planning-related activities this past month. This month, we again have a number of applications to bring through the various meeting stages for consideration. 39 building permits with a value of a little over $11.5 million were issued for the month of April, with a total year-to-date value of $20 million. We issued 4 permits for change of use and home-based business, 3 permits for demolitions, and we also issued 2 permits for commercial fit-ups. We issued 5 commercial permits and 1 institutional. On the residential side, we issued 18 permits for 9 semi-detached, 3 for single family, 1 multi-unit permit went out this month, as well for 1 8-unit building. Developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for 2022, and citizens are also encouraged to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for 2022. And thank you to Aaron McDonald, the Director of Technical Services, for preparing that report for this month. And if there are any questions or concerns,
Just, I have one, maybe I didn't see any other lights on it, I won't be jumping in. Maybe whether to you or maybe the CAO, speaking of demolition permits, you had mentioned 2 or 3 or whatever it was for this month, but I'm wondering, do we need an application for the demolition now for the Holland College building, or was that in all of the process when it was contracted out a few months ago? Did anybody apply yet for a building permit or a demolition permit?
Yeah, the demolition permit was issued like many months ago,
Okay.
actually, as part of the, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I understand within the next week or two that the asbestos is pretty well gone out?
Yeah. You'll also notice as well, if you're down by Peter Pit and you're facing the property, you'll see that some of the external scaffolding and other pieces of the Holland College, the old Holland College building, have come down. They've started to do a little bit of the exterior work already
Okay.
as well.
So who's going to be doing the demolition? Is it,
Was, I believe.
no, I was talking, they said that it wasn't them. They did some at the beginning.
Yeah, almost.
But anyway, I just want,
No, I think.
They did the secondary building, I don't know.
yeah, I'm just wondering when they'll be pulling in there, so it'll be nice to see after how many years.
It's, it'll be covered just, well, I'll cover it now as well, but it's in the economic development report. The demolition is slated for the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
They ran into some
My question.
minor issues. I'm not sure with what, but it didn't really put them off track at all, so it's still slated within the next couple of weeks.
That was my question. Are we still on target with that?
I think originally,
Demolition.
way back, they were saying 3rd week of April.
And now I think, is it end of June? Am I CAO?
Oh, sorry, I meant like for the demolition to physically start. I think they originally estimated 3rd week of April, but here we are, so couple weeks
Yeah.
out, so it's.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Drawn. Any further questions for the Chair of Tech Services? So you got another busy summer, $20 million in permits already, and that's up until the end of April. That doesn't include May. And
Doesn't
like
include May, and we're still only the 5th month of 12, so.
Yeah, so somebody said today, you gotta be careful around Summerside, you get run over with a bulldozer, with so much development and construction. Pardon? And a lot of it has taken place in Councillor Campbell's ward. Anyway, thank you, and if you've got anything further to add?
That's all I have. Go Caps.
Okay, yes, I imagine Councillor Snow will probably have that on his agenda. Okay, thank you, Councillor Drawn. Councillor McDougall, how is the street sweeper coming?
Great, great news with the street sweeper. It should be in late May and into operation the first couple of weeks of June.
So with all of the construction going on, there's lots
yeah,
of sand and
there's lots of
things
dust
to
and,
sweep up.
yeah. No, so that's great news. I do have a report, and it was by Greg Goody, our director. And the sewage treatment plant, there's maintenance each month is carried out, repaired broken piping to the sludge transfer. The city began sampling wastewater for COVID-19 virus loadings for PEI government. We passed the testing to ensure that effluent is not toxic to fish habitat. And we replaced the Cementex mixer auger that has been operating for 15 years. Public Works continue repairing the rights of way with topsoil and seed being placed, and this will continue until the end of May. The new street sweeper, which I just announced, will be here and in operation in early June. Roadway asphalt repairs will start. They should start right away and continue into late July. Traffic line painting has begun for crosswalks and stop bars, and that'll continue all year. Crosswalk flags have been replenished throughout the city. Boardwalk repairs have begun and will be complete by the end of June. Sidewalk inspections are underway and will be repaired by mid-July for all hazards. Street signage and traffic signs are being replaced as needed from wear and tear. And if anybody throughout the city sees that their street sign has been damaged or anything, please contact the city. 2 4-way stop intersections were installed at Crozier Drive and Heron Avenue and Crozier Drive and Hillside Drive. We had 32 water samples taken and all clear. We had 15 chlorination samples taken and all within parameters. That's basically all I have, Your Worship. For a
Thank
report.
you. I think you got a question coming. Councillor.
Question.
I just wanted to note that the 4-way stops haven't been installed yet.
They haven't.
No. But that's okay, because I think Greg said May 16th.
They might
so
be, but they
it's
might
still May
be
16th.
by the time you get home.
They might be there. Yeah. I was through today, they weren't there yet, but we'll.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Any questions for the Chair of Municipal Services? Just, I'm not sure if it's your department, and I see the highways, or the Department of Highways are painting their yellow lines and
Yeah.
white lines.
Yeah,
I wonder how close are we before that starts?
they're starting now.
The city, within the city?
Within the city, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I just have a couple of comments if there's
Go ahead.
no other questions. I too would like to pass on condolences to the family of the late D. Alex McDonald, former councillor with the town of Summerside, and a great community individual who gave back to his community, and was also a great guy, very good gentleman. Also, condolences to Benny Cairns' family. Benny was one of the original councillors when the city was formed, and I had more fun with that guy. He was unbelievable. You know, he definitely was a character, but boys, could he ever count.
Yes.
And, you know, we'd be sitting here trying to figure something out, trying to get away around it, and he wouldn't be saying too much, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Benny's got it all fixed up, let's go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did that many times, and he was just a great person. And also to the family of Danny Kelly, that's
Yes.
Emmett Kelly's, he was the former chair of St. Eleanor's. Danny was the son, and he passed away this week, and so condolences to the family. Anyway, I known Danny and the family for many years, and anyway, just pass on condolences. And of course, we have to pass on congratulations to Turk, our native son. Pulled her out again, and we're so proud of him.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. And you had mentioned Benny, a lot of memories come back. Like I said, we served with him, and he had a memory on him like an elephant. Somebody would be talking about something, and he'd start quoting something from 7 years ago on page 36, a certain line. He could remember anything. And like you said, he was a lot of fun. I remember another time in a meeting, there was a big, long discussion about something, and Benny said, let's pull all these papers, push them on the floor in the garbage, and make a common sense decision. You know, that's the way he was like. I mean, he'd like to talk about it, but there came a point when Benny said, well, let's decide on something here. And then, anyway, he's gone too young. Thank you. Councillor
Well, I
Adams, you had
just
a question?
wanted to add to that, you had mentioned the McDonald's and the Sheens and the
Yeah.
Kelly families. Of course, our condolences to them, but whenever Benny was still living at home, he was always in the front window, and he watched the cars go by, and the kids on the bus would always wave to him, and then if I had the kids in the car, they'd always wave to him. So CJ and Heather are there now, but it's mentioned often. It was mentioned often about where's he at now? So he definitely made a lasting impact. And when I worked for the Western School Board, he was a school bus driver, and you could always tell when he was in the building. If you were in the back office and there was an uproar up front, then it was usually Benny was in, and he was having a good time torturing somebody. So it was, he definitely made his mark on all ages. So.
I remember another story, just to take a second here, when I think it was the traffic lights going at the corner of MacEwen and Water Street, and there was discussion how long the sensor would be or how long before the lights would change. And somebody said, well, no, they can get 5 school buses through there before it. No way, it's 4.5 buses. The light changed when the bus was halfway through, so he got it changed.
4.5 buses.
Councillor, Adams, I forgot to ask Councillor Duran, and maybe through you, that we had a request from Kenny Gallant from Meadow Heights, I forget the name of the street, McMillan? On Caitland.
Caitland is the
Yeah,
street.
he was in before, and I thought it was gonna go upstairs for an application, but I don't see it on the agenda tonight, so maybe it's in the mix, is it?
It must be in the mix. I haven't heard anything from staff on it, but we'll follow up with staff tomorrow and make sure that application gets on, because the property owner's waiting on
Okay.
that, so.
Thank you. So, who's on first and who's on second here? Thank you. Councillor Campbell, it's been windy the last couple of months. Your windmills are busy.
If you only knew. I'd like to, the condolences that Bruce made also, I knew them all. My report from Great Goody, crosswalk lights at South Drive and Glen Drive are repaired. Street light repairs along Foundry and First Street. City Hall car charger's been repaired. Replacement radar sign was completed on replacement on Water Street. Engine 7 annual maintenance cycle has been completed. Engine 5 also had his annual maintenance. Mackenzie Drive lighting cabinet was replaced this month. Boardwalk lights repaired by Silver Fox Curling Club. Thermal image study was conducted at the power plant. Generator run hours last month was 8.5. 15 new poles were installed, 2 removed. And if you notice that 15 resolved and only 2 removed, as we share the lines with Highland Tel and also Eastlink, I think. And they have to be contacted and got removed also. 9 transformers were installed and 9 removed. 41 service calls responded to this month. 1 furnace sold in the Heat for Less program. The Central Street pole replacement project is 50% completed. Here's one of interest. Tree trimming along Pope Road and in and around Gavin Estates is 75% completed. And that should fix the problem with power outages out your way, Bruce. I think they were common at one time there last couple of months ago. Sunbank project is well underway with 50% of the pilings completed and the metal rack being installed. The substation foundation has been started and expected to be completed by the end of June. And construction materials are still a challenge to get. There's some things that we ordered last August that hasn't come in yet. 52% of our electricity came from the wind this month.
Oh, it's high.
Very seldom we get over the 50. And this is one, I've been waiting for this to kind of start showing up in the stats, is that new electric customers were mostly around 12 to 14. Last month, it was 23 new electrical hookups.
Good.
So that's certainly,
The people are moving in.
and that, your worship, is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any questions for the Chair of Electrical?
Sorry for the voice, I was hollering at the wife before I left.
Okay, anything further? If not, we'll continue on then. Councillor Drawn, I believe you're back on the floor with economic development? Sorry. Oh, you're
What was that?
economic development?
I'm sorry.
After electric, yeah.
I can sit right back down.
Okay.
I'll stay right up.
Okay, you're gonna do police then now?
I'll do
Okay.
policing, I'm sorry,
Police
yeah.
and
I
fire.
didn't, yeah. I guess Brian's not here, so I never thought of that, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'll make it fast. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I don't have an emergency measures report, but CAO and I often chat about how things are going, and we continue to work on our emergency measures plan. And we are planning to meet with our folks in the community sometime in the near future, just to kind of stay caught up and let them know where we are and where they are. And so the communications is still open there. So anyway, I'll go into my, does anyone have any questions on emergency measures? No? Okay. Then I'll move into police services. So this is a monthly report for April from Summerside Police Services. Members attended meetings for the Bridge Program, Criminal Intelligence PEI, Crime Stoppers, Provincial Harm Reduction Committees, and other provincial organizations, including Police Executive Committee meetings in Charlottetown. 4 members recertified in domestic violence related training, 3 members recertified in pistol training, 3 members attended the ADSE training in Charlottetown, which basically is a roadside instrument that tests for drugs. 1 member instructed in standard field sobriety training to cadets at the Atlantic Police Academy. Members continue to take police-related training on their own initiative through the Canadian Police Knowledge Network. The chief attended City Hall for the Mayor's Good Neighbor Award and was the guest speaker recently at Career Bridges. And I'd like to take this time right now to welcome our chief back. He's back to work pretty much full-time, and he's doing really well. So welcome back, Chief Poirier. And thank you to Sinclair Walker and Jason Black here, and it just for your great work you did while the chief was off. Members attended a reception for Junior Mayor and Council at the Oval. Work continues with PEI, Integrated Impaired Driving Enforcement Initiative, along with Highway Traffic Act enforcement and with other police agencies. I do have some statistics for the month of April, and of course I have 3-month comparisons. So calls for service for the month of April were 553, down from March, which were 605. Traffic accidents were 12, 13 in March. Reported crimes of assaults and threats were 29 for April, 38 in March. Theft reports were 37, 31 in March. Impaired driving offenses that blow over 80 or refusal were 4. March, there were 5. They do an average of about 5 impaired drivers a month, which is seems to be pretty consistent. Highway traffic charges include speeding, were 79, and in March of 91. Break-in and reports, business and residential, were 9, and in March they were 4. So that's up a lot. In February they were 4. Drug enforcement charges, and this does not include the JFO charges, joint forces operations, were 8. Up from March, which were only 5, in February were 4. And like I say, that doesn't include the JFO. So police services are working very hard, and I'd like to commend them on that. And I know they're short-staffed, and they're working very hard. So any questions can be directed to myself or Chief Poirier or Deputy Chief Walker. That concludes my report.
Okay, on the police, you have fire?
I do, I have a
just have
fire.
one going to mention it, maybe.
Sure.
You'd mentioned emergency services.
Yeah.
Friday, I had 2 situations here in the afternoon I had to deal with, and CAO Rob sat in with me for about 2 hours. But there were 2 separate situations where 2 different families had situations where they had a member of the family that could not find a place. One had sleeping in the church, and another one, the second one, was probably sleeping outside or someplace. And I think they put one gentleman in the hospital for the weekend, and I got a call again today that they released him in the hospital. And so anyway, there's 2 situations that we know of that are sad situations.
Very sad.
And anyway, Councillor or Deputy Mayor McColeman and I were talking today that we're going to be talking with trying to remember the name.
Just a number of people that we work with in the community.
Yes.
Yes.
To see if they can step forward and help. And I did talk with social services on Friday, so it's that situation is out there, and it was a sad couple of hours, Mr. CAO, that we had, and we can only do so much. And we explained that those kinds of situations are the health and education and those kinds of things are responsibility of the province. But we will try to do whatever we can.
And that's exactly it.
The Life House that just opened for women is great.
It's for women and
But
children.
for men, presently, there's no place.
That's it, and
other than down east.
And Your Worship, like these 2 or 3 women that got together and put such hard work into opening Life House and just went at it, and came to us as council and wondered how we could help, and you just direct them into chat with people that can really help them and help them move forward. And it would be really nice if there were a couple of really interested men in the community that might take on the same kind of project for, because we don't have a place for men here.
We suggested that too.
Men here in Summerside, and because if we can help at all, we will. And I know there is a place in Charlottetown, and that if there's someone that is homeless, that they will even put them in a cab and take them to Charlottetown. There's a couple of different situations down there that they can be delivered to. I think one being a hotel and one being a home for men. And but a lot of people don't want to leave their community, and I understand that, and that's the difficulty. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there.
We'll continue to work on it and do whatever we can to help, and if we get any more information, I'll keep it copied to council. I believe Councillor Snow had a question or comment.
Just on your point there, Your Worship, there is an emergency shelter hotline that provides emergency support and housing for situations like that, like the quick one-off. So just
but it's to Charlottetown.
It's island-wide. They'll put them up in a hotel here in Summerside. So there's a hotline number. I don't have it offhand, but it's something we probably should look at just to have.
I was talking to today, and one of them has got a hotel for a few days, but a family member had to get the hotel, and they're waiting to hear back from social services.
Yeah, there's a number you can call.
Yes, there is. Yeah. And I might add, there are a number of people on council who work with social service, like Norma for many, many years worked with women, violence, and I worked as a youth worker, and Councillor Snow's a youth worker, and so there are many of us who work with young people and people in crisis that would be willing to, have some resources, I guess, as contacts, if we can help at all, then.
But your good point there, the 2 or 3 women that got that started when they came in to see us first, and it got it going, and now it's happened.
Yeah.
So if we could get a similar situation, and we explained that to the lady that was in Friday.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have.
And those people come along.
And I think just going back to, if we can all remember Dr. Sheldon Cameron, I mean, he did a phenomenal job working with people, helping them get, back on track. And the biggest thing that we hear with any kind of victim services is that people want to be in their home community where their family and their supports are. So I think some of the things we're trying to just get some information on, we'll keep council posted.
And I guess I should add that I did meet with Bobby Morrissey regarding that, because we don't have an addiction center here in Summerside or Summerside West. And that's one of the things that we spoke about, was that people don't want to leave their community, and certainly people from Tignish or West don't want to leave their community and go all the way to Mount Herbert, and then they don't have access to their families. And, so there's a whole thing around that, we can certainly continue to talk about, and, yeah.
It sort of comes under, that's why I mentioned
It's provincial and federal, and,
emergency
yeah.
services.
That's right, yeah. So anyway, that is police services, and I'll move into fire services, their monthly report for April. There were 17 fire calls during the month of April, 3 medical first responder calls, 3 alarm panel calls, 2 false alarms, 1 outdoor fire violation, 3 miscellaneous calls, 1 motor vehicle accident, and 4 cancel calls. Firefighters trained for a total of 1,141 hours in the month of April in the following activities: fire investigator course, level 1 field work, water supply session, level 1 class time, level 1 field work, level 1 review test, hazmat, air brake training, hose training, OHS meetings, fitness training, hose lay, airbag cribbing training, fire investigation, intro to youth set fires, investigating youth set fires, fundamentals of interviewing. So they're a busy bunch over there. Chief would like to put a huge thank you out to everyone that helped fill the boot on the Easter weekend. Firefighters stood in front of the Atlantic Superstore asking for support of the residents, and they raised over $5,300, and it will be donated entirely to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Currently, they have 6 firefighters working on level 1 and 2 certifications. Over the past few months, they have trained over 200 hours each and are now waiting on their final exam later this month. Good luck to the firefighters. And the Firefighters Association has been working on their first fundraiser in over 2 years. This always popular Squall at the Hall will be back this year. It's August 13th. The Ellis Family Band will be playing. It'll be like an outdoor party dance, and they're really looking forward to it. And they've started the meetings and arrangements on that now, so people can look to have a little bit of fun outside City Hall and at the fire station in August. And that concludes my fire services report.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Any questions for the Chair of Police and Fire and Emergencies?
Thank you very much.
Okay, I do not see any speaker lights on, so we'll continue on. Councillor Snow, Community Services, busy as usual. You're in the changeover from the winter to the spring to the summer.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship.
Oh,
We
Sorry,
skipped.
sorry, we jumped ahead again. Councillor Drawn, the floor is yours, sir. Yeah. When we changed the agenda there, it kind of threw things off a little bit from the beginning. But the floor is yours, sir.
All right, well, I don't have a formal report in Councillor McFeely's absence, but I did get some notes sent along from Economic Development Director Mike Thasuska. See, I don't say that every month, so Mike T. All right, we'll call him Mike T. Like Earl Grey. So I guess we covered Holland College. Nothing new to report. The demolition is slated in the next couple weeks. There was a Cambridge Clean Tech event, and what that was Summerside, along with the province and High Commission in the UK, hosted an investor summit for clean tech investment in a virtual forum. Over 60 UK-based companies interested in North America participated, and lots of ongoing discussions are now happening as we have planted the seeds. The Canadian Association of Emergency Room Physicians Conference. The Economic Development Office is taking a lead role in supporting PCH attendance at this annual event that brings together emergency room resources. Our own PCH will be at the event trying to recruit much needed ER physicians, and along with the province recruitment team, we're looking to amp up our sales proposition for Summerside. Net Zero, the Economic Development Office leading, along with private and public sector companies, continue to push towards creating Net Zero Summerside. We're working with some amazing partners and potential projects and look towards advancement on the clean tech file. And general investment, despite supply chain and cost increases, the Economic Development Office continues to have preliminary discussions with investors on several fronts, and it's encouraging to note that the interest in Summerside, despite some overall global market challenges. Last note he has on here, I don't know if it's part of this or not, but he had 2 dental appointments to deal with, and hopes to have those solved by the end of the month as well. So that's economic development.
Deputy Mayor, take over the
Sure. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to pass along or try to answer. Or
Any questions, members of council?
I don't think the last part was part of it. It's just Mike T being hilarious himself. So.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We gratefully accept your report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you to Brian McFeely for.
Okay. And I guess our last but certainly not least report of the evening is Councillor Snow, Community Services.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Sometimes it's best to start with the end of the month as opposed to the beginning. With that in note, the Summerside Western Capitals closed out the month as the Canadian Tire Cup champions, defeating the Truro Bearcats 4-1 in the best-of-7 series. The impressive regular season and playoff run will send the Caps to the Centennial Cup. The official tournament schedule for the Centennial Cup is set for May 19th to the 29th in Estevan, Saskatchewan. At this time, I'd like to congratulate the Western Capitals on their win. Some councillors and police and residents were out today, and fire, and seeing them off as they headed to Halifax, and they're heading to Estevan first thing in the morning on a flight. I know they'll represent the city of Summerside well, and we wish them nothing but the best of luck. The ice surfaces at Credit Union Place had a busy month with 3 provincial hockey tournaments and the Summerside Figure Skating Association Ice Show, which attracted participants, families, and friends from all over the island. The sold-out spring edition of swimming lessons continued in April, which was not the only component of the aquatic center that was in high demand. Both underwater hockey and water polo with new activities were added to this month and piqued some interest from aquatics users. These 2 programs, paired with water basketball, have been offering some new activities for aquatics. The multi-purpose dome at Credit Union Place continues to be busy with bookings from user groups, programs, and private bookings. Easter weekend was a busy one with the Easter egg hunt and a visit from the Easter Bunny. The dome also hosted the Atlantic Gymnastics Championships, which saw over 200 participants from all 4 Atlantic provinces, paired with friends and family who also spectated. Sport, entertainment, and tourism Summerside are gearing up for a busy summer with nearly 30 events spanning over the next 6 months. From the International Canada Cup of Wrestling, the Atlanticade Motorcycle Festival taking place in July, to the 16U Girls Baseball Nationals in August. Summerside is gearing up for a busy time ahead. The Parks and Green Space crew have been busy getting ready for the summer months and hosted the annual Earth Day cleanup at Green Shore, which saw over 100 residents from our city take part in the cleanup. The meeting rooms and convention center continue to see steady traffic with 32 bookings this month, and are looking forward to a busy summer with the long list of events upcoming. Also important to note, we hosted 3 Seniors Advisory Committee public forum sessions. It was overall well attended. We received lots of feedback from residents in our city with ways to improve overall programming for seniors in our community. Our senior advisory committee will continue to meet over the coming months. There will be a public release of the feedback we received. And at this time, I'd like to thank our community members, Katrina McKay, Joan Lafergie, and Mara Garsnow, who have been attending meetings regularly with the Senior Advisory Committee. That also includes Mayor Basil and Councillor Carrie Adams. And we look forward to making and implementing some of the things that came out of the public forum, and looking just at ways we can better serve our seniors in our community. So with that, that's the end of our...
Thank you. I step out there and make a phone call, but we had a great send-off today to our junior hockey team. We're going to the Nationals.
Yeah, I said that when you were out on your phone
Okay,
call.
sorry.
I said some councils and yourself, your worship, and police and fire were there and supported the players as they headed off to Estevan. And I was saying I'm pretty confident they're going to represent us well. So
No
I look
question
forward
about
to their first game. Just so people know, is this Friday. It's 4 o'clock Saskatchewan time, which will turn out to be 7 o'clock our time. So that's just the normal hockey time here in Summerside, 7 o'clock. So I'd encourage people. All the games are streamed on Hockey Canada, so you should be able to, if you have an internet connection, get it up and watch it. And then also Hockey TV, you can watch it on there. So I look forward to cheering them on.
Yeah, it's going to be a long haul for them. They're going to Halifax tonight and flying out tomorrow. But after they get to Regina, they got a 2 or 3 hour bus drive from there. So,
Yeah,
but anyway, it's going to be quite an event, and it was a good send off. And just in regards to the Seniors Advisory Committee, certainly has been some. Couldn't attend all of the meetings, but some great discussions take place and suggestions, and I hope at the end of the day, when we come up with some recommendations, that things will be put in place for seniors. I'm not sure what age it would start at, but even when a person reaches, whether it's 60 or 65, that there's things we can do for them in our recreation facilities or wherever, because seniors built this great community. And so I think as a result of the discussions, hopefully something can be put in place that will certainly benefit our seniors.
I guess I'll leave it with this, Your Worship. There was tons of great ideas and discussions that took place, and some that sort of reference what you were just talking about. And I'm personally looking forward to having discussions with our community service director and fellow councillors on how we can implement some of those relatively quickly, because some of them were very good ideas that would have a significant impact to seniors. But Dr. Katrina McKay, who is a geriatric doctor, she really said it best. You know, just we say it's senior friendly, but when it's senior friendly, it's everybody friendly, right? Just because you don't necessarily have to be a senior, you could be somebody with a kid in a stroller, and if it's senior friendly, if whatever changes we're making, it's everybody friendly. It's better for the whole community.
So we haven't got a, sorry, go ahead, just do what I like to.
I just wanted to follow up on, you had mentioned the Canada Cup of Wrestling, and in that will be 2 hometown wrestlers. There's Legrit Sudoku and Hannah Taylor. So it's nice for them to be able to do their thing at home. They practice in the park sometimes across from our house. At first we were like, what is going on over there? But all was well. Anyways, and also Legrit had his debut in MMA bantamweight, and last night I guess, Saturday night, yeah, and he won. So that was his first go at it, and he won. That was in Niagara, I believe.
He looked good too.
Yeah, he did. So, anyways, it was his first time at it. Legrit Sudoku, Ridvan's son from A1. Ridvan owns A1 out there. Anyways, so him and Hannah are both going to be here, and just a couple other things I wanted to mention. Along with all the other things that went on. Summerside Minor Hockey hosted the U13 AAA Atlantics, and it was amazing. Like, they went above and beyond. The U13 team didn't do as well as hoped, but the experience they got, from the ice times right to the banquet, and the friends they met, and reconnecting with friends that they meet at summer camps and so on. It was really neat to see, and everybody that was here from Pictou and Moncton and Tricom from Newfoundland, they couldn't believe the facility and that they were so happy to be here.
Who was the champ? Did Newfoundland win?
Newfoundland won.
They were
yeah.
predicted.
They were
apparently very strong.
predicted to, yeah, but they had an upset, and Moncton had beat them on one of the round robin games. So it was anyways, but they weren't able to hold out to the end, but it was good. And also Hockey PEI had their high performance programming here last weekend, and there were a ton of people around. And they utilized the ice, both ice surfaces, the track, the dome, and it was really amazing. And flag football field was full of kids, and there was parents that were coming over to check on their kids here, running over to flag football, and they were just so happy to be here because we can do everything in one area, whereas before you might be in Cornwall and then you're running to Charlottetown, or you're running like, you know, the parents had to be involved all day, but this was literally the kids were responsible for themselves, which is part of the whole thing. So it was really nice to see that, and the CUP staff were phenomenal. So, and Hockey PI was very pleased.
So they have opened an office in Summerside now too.
Yes,
Hockey
and they
PEI.
have an office here, satellite office. So, and a question somebody had was, when is the ice coming out?
That's a good question. I think they were working with Hockey PEI and making sure their camps were all able to take place, and then the ice will be coming out as soon as there's no more bookings for ice. So yeah, it'll be in the coming weeks, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not out for long because then hockey school starts. So.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's well, most of the hockey schools take place in the other side for a lot. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect.
So those kids from Newfoundland, some of them will be showing up on Hockey Night in Canada in 5 years' time or so.
Yeah. So it was neat to see the program. I said, stash that away somewhere because you might know.
Under 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
And maybe a few that Gerard Gallant can draft.
Yeah.
He doesn't need it right now. He's doing so well. Maybe the Boston Bruins could have a few, with Councillor Campbell, maybe the Canadians. Some of the lights on there. Deputy Mayor, your light was on, and then Councillor Ramsey.
I just wanted to
Quick
go
question.
back to the seniors advisory. There was just something, I attended on the Thursday night, not all 3 sessions, but that one in particular. And I think sometimes we live here, but we don't realize through the eyes of people that do move here. The lady that was sitting at the table where I was a former volunteer with Meals on Wheels, and she was talking about somebody in one of the other sessions that had moved here from another larger province. And whenever that conversation started, people were saying different things that towards maybe we don't have this, or there's not this, or whatever. And the couple that moved here from another province, they said, "Do you folks realize what you have here?" And it was the way she said it that, you know, they made the comment that we have so much here in this community compared to maybe things that they have in larger communities, but they're so expensive. And that was a big takeaway for me. And Corey, I just want to congratulate you and all of the committee members, because I know there's a number of you, not just you, but everybody, for the effort that you put in, because I think that's going to be very valuable information that comes forth, because the big thing that came out of that, isolation, and people are lonely. And I think we have a responsibility, and I'm looking forward to what comes out of it.
I'm really looking forward to what comes out of it. To your point, that happened at almost every session where I know there was a gentleman and his wife from Calgary. They shared some, without getting the cat out of the bag, I'm going to wait till the report comes out, but they shared some great ideas on what they were doing in their community. They were in a smaller community outside of Calgary. And then there was another gentleman and wife who moved to PEI from off island. They spent some time in Glasgow, moved to Stratford, and quickly realized that Summerside was the place for them. And to listen to him talk when he was talking to the other people in attendance, I actually said to him, I would love to get you to do a commercial for the city of Summerside, because he spoke so highly of the stuff we do have. And to your point, I think it's easy to get lost in, you know, what you want to have and not what you already have. And we are very fortunate, but that doesn't mean we can't do better. And I think we will do better. So, yeah.
I just have a quick
Councillor
question, and thank you for your work on that, you guys, the committee, because I know it's just, we're anxious to kind of, now that COVID's over and people can get together, and, you know, it'll be nice to have some things in place. But I have a question regarding the trails throughout the city. So they're open, of course, and people are excited, but I'm getting some information, some calls, and I'm wondering if anyone else is. I did send mine to CAO Rob, regarding like some garbage along the trails, and, you know, so I thought, how do we handle this? And I talked with Rob, and it's the province that's responsible for the trails. So, you know how in lots of little towns, people would get together as volunteers, and, you know, if the city supplied the garbage bags, could we have a Saturday or something where they might just take a bag and, you know, the families go along and try and clean up the trail a little bit. Just kind of putting that out there to council to see if, I don't know, CAO, how, I know some of the garbage was over by the sanitation, you know, and so that person wondered if maybe there was some stuff blowing from there, and maybe it would be worth just a phone call to call them, and maybe they might even clean that area up, realizing that it's, you know.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wanted to put that out there if that's something.
So the Women's Institute just did a roadside cleanup here this past weekend. We did a cleanup at Green Shore.
Yeah.
We also just donated a ton of bags to Elm Street Elementary School. Next week they're doing a community cleanup around their school. So the students and staff are going out and cleaning up. So some of the trails along there, I'm sure will get done.
Right.
But yeah.
And that's kind of what, you
Yeah,
know,
I think we all need to do our part to get
do our
clean up the
part,
community.
because I'm not sure when the province might kick in on that, if it's, maybe it's in September, who knows, right? And that's fine, but I think it's our community, so it would be nice if we could at least supply the bags. And that's all. Thank you, Corey.
I just wanted to mention that I did take a walk down the Confederation Trail. I took some pictures and I gave them to the CAO, and there's an issue that needs to be addressed there, and I passed them on to our CAO. But also, other years we did a cleanup on the boardwalk, and I haven't heard anything with that yet. I know that some of them have, I think.
We had 100 participants down in.
Oh, when I was
Yeah.
in Florida.
Yeah,
Or, no.
We had 100 participants take part.
I was wondering who picked some of that
Yeah.
stuff up, but there's still some other stuff there. But anyway, I'll do my part. Thank you.
I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe we've gotten to the end of the agenda, didn't we? We bounced it around a couple of times.
And Mayor Basil, I just want to thank our two gallery guests for being so attentive and patient. Thank you so much, because it's been a long night. So thank you.
We only came in here around 4:30, so it has been a long evening, but this business takes a lot of time and a lot of work. Anyway, thank you for attending tonight. And we've gotten to the end of the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor McDougall. All in favour? Aye. Country nay, carried. We'll give